Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by my absolute favourite, Refracted Curvature, Neil, Eli, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
Hello. How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Very well, till I got interrupted before even getting through the live intro. Thank you, Neil.
Oh, why wasn't our lines closed? What are you slipping?
I just added in one or two extra words about which server we were in. But there we go. It's all good. Nice to be back. We've had a weekend off, although we did do a Ballbusters. Please check it out. I did repeat it on my second channel. So if you're not a member, so these videos tend to come out to members immediately. But if you're not, it came out the following day after we did the Ballbusters live on Quantum Eraser's channel. So you can check it out on my second channel or on the original broadcaster's channel, which is Quantum Eraser. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe today. But we did a fairly extended coverage of YouTube's... No, it wasn't YouTube, was it? It's on their own site. InfoWars, Whitsitt versus Harrison, I'm going to say. Is that the right name? Did I get the name right? Yes, Nathan, it's definitely Harrison. You've got a good memory. Oh, well, I'm glad I can remember, because I generally can't remember things from the day before, let alone 2 days ago. Anyway, check that out. We may do a part B, so in a couple of weeks, if you find that it resurfaces, that is to say we cover the second half of that particular discussion, which for me, I tuned out from. I don't know about everyone else. I got the sentiment of the many people who got in touch with me about how disappointed they were in that particular discussion or debate, as it was labelled. And I can totally understand why, having watched 50% of it now. At a point, I just tuned out. You know, it's like, he's here to punt his agenda. There's not very much flat earth evidence, and the opportunities that are being laid down are being ignored, if not turned into ether evidence or an opportunity to segue into ether evidence. So once you kind of know what the shtick is, I lost interest. To the extent I could lose interest, given that we were dealing with it on an actual show. So there we go. That was my attitude towards it. So thank you to all the people who did get in touch to express their disappointment. I can relate now.
That video on QE's channel is doing very well, actually, because I'm looking at it. And, like, I'm not watching his stats or anything, but I do notice, because I watch his videos, like, after a few days, one might have 600 or 700 views, like that kind of thing, right? But that one has 1.4 thousand views in a day and a half or something like that. So, or less maybe. So it's doing very well. And the comments are like, everyone is like very unhappy with the performance. It's not the performance. So we know he can perform. It's about his agenda being pushed. It's selfish agenda instead of focusing on the flat versus globe. It was a selfish agenda that was purely, and he was more interested in his heliocentric prowess and, you know, showing that off and talking about geocentrism, as opposed to just dealing with, you know, proofs that the Earth is flat and stationary and enclosed. You know, but what can you do?
I wanted to ask a question about that, because Adam said it and now you said it. Adam said he's a smart lad. You said he could show off or debate well. Why do we say that? What makes a person smart?
Well, for the person he's up against, right? For the person he's up against, you could basically take almost any flat earther that's hanging in around Discord. It doesn't have to be with it, someone with a lot of experience. Any flat earther that's hanging in around Discord. And they could probably easily beat that guy in a debate based off of what he presented.
Wrong.
As in, produce something that would be better than talking about ether, magnetism, and even though I don't even know if he mentioned ether, but it's all based around ether, magnetism, and this, that, and the other thing. Toroidal fields, and talking about geocentrism and heliocentric history. This kind of thing. It's like, okay, that has to be addressed sometimes, and I address it myself. But you take any flat earther that's on Discord, someone who's only here a year, and they should be able to take care of that guy. Argument to argument. Your man might beat him with a debate experience, but as far as arguments goes, he didn't have any. That kind of way.
Okay, there's a certain amount of limelight shed on Whitsitt, and at the beginning, he's rocking back and forth on his chair, or side to side. It's a swivel chair, and you can tell that he's nervous. Now, I'm not condoning his performance based on him coping with that limelight. I'm just saying that there's a certain amount of media exposure that one person would need in order to just cope with the pressure of being on something like InfoWars. And when you say, in terms of mental capacity and argument understanding, somebody from Discord would be able to put up better arguments, in isolation, I would agree with you. Plonk them in that circumstance, and I would expect most people to crumble pretty quickly.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. And I even mentioned this the other night. I alluded to this. Sorry, I alluded. I was mixing up those two words. I alluded to this the other night. He's on a pretty big platform there. If you think about it, that's Alex Jones' platform. Alex Jones, because I thought about this before I've said it, I'm not just thinking about this now. Alex Jones interacts with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is seen socializing with Donald Trump. So he's like 3 steps away from Donald Trump, if you want to see it that way, right? So yeah, even though it's not Alex Jones he's dealing with someone else. He's on Alex Jones' show. It's a big show, worldwide known in the English-speaking world anyway. And yeah, it is big. I'm not saying that there wasn't nerves or there wouldn't be nerves or anything. I expect anyone to have a certain amount of, and it depends on your what you've done in the past. But if you're new to that big of a limelight, yeah, it's going to probably be a bit overwhelming for you. But he's well able to deal with that, and he relaxed pretty fast. But it doesn't matter, nerves or not. Your answers are your answers. Just because I might be nervous doesn't mean I'm going to start talking about toroidal fields when I should be talking about something else.
How do you know? You don't know how you'll react. If you're led in a certain way. If you're led in a certain way. So he was led to give his opener about his testimony personally, and he did. Well, he was led. Well, you can be.
Well, you don't let them lead. You lead.
Now we get into this is it. So now we're into how do the circumstances fall when I'm under this pressure in a limelight circumstance, and you say, well, you don't let them lead you. All right, well, you'd be surprised what outside influences are going through your mind when you're in those circumstances. Again, I'm not condoning what he did. And given he has got the media exposure to be able to cope with this sort of stuff, he should just have a game plan and prove Earth's flat, as far as I am concerned, given that that's the subject being discussed on the show. So just to make that clear, but I'm just saying, it's being laboured more than I expected, but I just disagree with Brian when he says anybody from Discord could do this. I just don't agree. That's it. That's it.
No, see, look, anyone from Discord will have the same amount of nerves. But, I mean, let's be honest, Whitsitt's not new to this. Like, if you must allow yourself to be led. Like, if they start asking me, like, and so why are you a flat earther? I might give them a certain amount of information, small bits from my youth and stuff, or what led me to it. But I'm not going to spend all day. What I'm getting to is because there was no globe proof. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted, because there's no proof for a globe. Anyway, moving on. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm interested in. You know, and
But-
okay, I'm not going to say nerves aren't going to be there. I don't know for how nervous I would be or whatever if I went on there. But the point is that no matter what happens, I'm not going to start talking about thyroid fields.
But the name of the
that's
thing
that,
was
like-
Flat Earth. Sorry, but I thought you were done. The name of the thing was Flat Earth debate, right? They were having a debate. So why can't you just say, let me give you my evidence of Flat Earth first, before we go into how I got into it. Let me take you on a little journey here, and then you break it down from there. It's a Flat Earth debate. He can't decry you that if you're coming out with proof right out of the gate.
We're talking about a platform that he has never been on, that has given him more media exposure than he's ever had in his life.
God.
He is going to fall back on his rhetoric.
Yep.
Because in those nerves, you will lose. You will. If all you got is fancy talk, it's all about confidence.
Oh, so you're saying he didn't have it?
The confidence, that's correct, Neil. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Because if you go out, you go on the front foot, you got him backing up now. Now you're in charge.
That takes a certain
You got
amount of
no
confidence, though.
bullets to burn.
It does take a certain amount of
Yes,
confidence
and-
to do that.
Yes and no, Nathan. Because what you're taking into account is, you could go down the road of, it's Alex Jones' show, or you could, no, it's a big deal. Or what I'd be thinking about it, and put me to the test if you want, get me on there. Or a bigger platform. Because I'm been thinking, I have the information, I know what's right, I know what's true. I'm the person who knows it. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. End of
That's
story.
right.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I have to disagree with you there.
That's
I don't
confidence.
care who someone is.
What? Because of your
They have to
display of,
accept it or not.
because of your high degree of confidence that you've just expressed.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that there may not be a little bit of trepidation, because there might be, but I can't say that there will or won't be, because I haven't gone through it. But I guarantee it that I'm not going to go in there thinking, this is a really big platform. I don't care how big the platform is. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, I'm dealing with one man.
I don't doubt
That's
it. For you.
Yeah,
For
maybe
you,
it's not for
right.
everyone, but it comes down to the person sometimes.
I'm starting to agree with Nathan. I don't think he has the confidence to speak about the things that we speak about here.
Right, but
I'm really starting to agree with that.
Sure, but there's,
Well,
forget Witsit for a second, and on a broader scale, right? I'm going to figure out over time how to phrase this better, but I've described it as having two avenues that can be in front of you when you're confronted with this information from us, because it's just us at the moment. I say that, a lot of people in politics server were singing from this hymn sheet when we arrived last week. But anyway, the two roads are, one, just understand, comprehend that Earth is measured flat. Understand the process, and that's it. Because at that point, your confidence is in your understanding. That is to say, you don't need to express that confidence in a wider reaching understanding to overcome other people's objections when they don't comprehend that which you comprehend in regards to how Earth is measured. That is a low-level understanding. Now, unfortunately, there is the other end of the extreme, which is to say that, now that you understand Earth is measured flat, you want to enter into this pilgrimage, or whatever you want to describe it, this flat Earth evangelism that will result in you converting others or making the general populace see it a different way to how they have currently, or whatever. Then you need something a lot more than just knowing that Earth's measured flat. Then you need every single argument back to front, inside out, and a knowledge of all the possible rebuttals. In other words, you need to know the heliocentric model better than any opponent that you could ever be put in front of, so that you can undo their position on the fly when you get a new one. Now, that is a standard that 99.9% of people who come here will just never reach. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, and QE has said this also, he's echoed the sentiment, just don't be out there debating it. Good, you know it's flat. No, it's flat. Good for you. On you go. There's nothing more for you to do, and you don't have to upturn your life in debate and relinquish yourself for friends and family because you want to convert them when you don't know all of the arguments. And that's what you'll be confronted with, and if you don't have an overcome for them, or find yourself being charged with making up a new story because they believe you but they can't accept it because you haven't got a good enough explanation to replace it, then suddenly you're losing friends and family unnecessarily. You know,
Wait
so
a
there's two
second.
extremes.
You're telling me, wait. You're telling me that I prove Earth is flat, but I have to have an understanding of heliocentrism after I proved that Earth is flat and not a ball? I disagree with that.
No. Depends what you want to do going forward. If your path is a flat Earth evangelist path, then yeah, you better know every single overcome to every single rebuttal that might be placed before you. Because that's what you're entering into, right? You're not going to say, well, I'm going to take the path of engineering, but what you're saying is I've got to learn about how engines work and stuff. No.
No, that's a bad
No,
comparison.
no.
It's a
At the
bad
point, no.
comparison.
I'm nearly done, Neil. At the point in the fork in the road where you go, no, you understand that an engine makes a car go forward. You do. Then you can go on this path. Just don't get into debates about how cars work. You know they work. Good for you. You know it's flat. Good for you. Don't get into debates about how cars work now because you're not that person just because you know how a bloody car works. Because then you'll get into a debate with an engineer and he might have a rebuttal that you haven't got an answer for. Therefore, you're wrong. No, you weren't wrong, but you were overcome by someone with a better understanding of engineering than you when you started telling them about how cars work.
What is heliocentrism?
Sun-centric religion.
Okay, and where is Earth in that sun-centric religion? It's
Moving
a
around
ball
the sun.
in space, revolving around the sun with the other planets. I just showed you that Earth is flat beyond a shadow of a doubt. There is no ball. You can't have a horizon on a globe, but I have to understand heliocentrism because somebody's going to come up with a question after I've demonstrated it's flat? No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
He's got a point there, Nathan. I mean, if you can demonstrate that it's flat, then that's kind of at least 50 or 60% of the heliocentric paradigm is in serious bother. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what they say, don't
right?
you? And you know what they say. The devil is in the detail.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? There's two types of knowing we're talking about here. There's the understanding, which requires belief, right? And then there's knowing based on experience. If you don't have the knowing based on experience, you shouldn't be debating it. If your knowledge is based on an understanding of someone else and their demonstrations, you don't have to jump out there. If you don't know it, don't fight it.
Yeah, you either have a
No,
knowing or you have if you don't have a knowing, all you have is a belief. It's that simple. And that belief won't help you because you're fighting someone else's belief if you're dealing with heliocentrism, because that's what heliocentrism is a belief. I'll demonstrate that in a while. Sorry, Neil, go on.
No, I just actually saying knowing what? Knowing Earth is flat?
Yes.
Or knowing the heliocentric paradigm?
No, knowing Earth is flat.
Knowledge.
Knowing Earth is measured
Oh,
flat.
yeah, I agree. If you don't know how to disseminate it like we do here, then you shouldn't even be speaking about it. I agree.
Right, but having that knowledge, there's a very succinct point that will have, or a consequence to the person who has that, which is to say that they stop getting caught up in your belief about how the world might work in a heliocentric model versus a new belief to replace it. Once you know, you'll go, well, hang on, I am in no way responsible for giving you this, even though you're charging me with it. In other words, your brain will be wired that way. Well, I know it's measured flat. Well, why do we have tides? I don't know. Who cares? It's measured flat. They don't have to necessarily go into, at that point, the notion of angle measurements for tides or sea levels or anything like that, unless your decision is that you want to be an evangelist for the subject. Because the first thing that person who opposes you, presumably, in this scenario, will do is start asking you questions based on what they currently think is the case based on heliocentrism. So they'll give you a scenario from their current belief, and they'll charge you with something in false dichotomy. Well, again, if you're not equipped to recognise that fallacy, you'll think that it's necessary to convert this person in your evangelistic way by giving them a just-so story, because that's what they've asked for. They gave you an explanation. Where's yours? Rather than going, well, I just know it's measured flat. dude, that's all I've got. I'm sorry. You know, and walking away and getting on with your day.
Before I would try to give an explanation, I would need to understand their description. Are they talking about differences in water levels as opposed to mean sea level for tides?
I don't know. I wish I hadn't picked that example.
Yes, that would be what they're talking about. When they say, well, what causes the tides? Well, you're talking about the differential in sea level as opposed to mean sea level, correct? Of course they are. That's
Yes.
what they're talking. They're talking about undulation in level. Levels, plural.
Right, the rising and falling of a surface level.
Yeah, that's still flat.
Yeah. But you'd
So,
have to know that and
do you-
recognise that
okay.
from having a good understanding of the arguments and how that is highlighted by you or I or anybody else pointing out how you're going to need a flat earth for that. Again, when we were saying it in a more crude manner last year, people didn't get it then, did they? Plenty of flat earthers didn't realise that. They'd just be like, oh, what are you going to say? You need a flat earth for that. Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, right, that's all you say. It's like, oh, you obviously don't understand it. And then you sound like them. You just don't understand. Well, no, they don't. They will need a flat earth for it. Earth is measured flat is a much more bold statement that makes ballers cringe because half the time they're only hearing that statement when they've used a flat earth for their measurement. Then they're hearing, you're going to need a flat earth for that. By the way, it's boom, that's it, my job's over. Earth is measured flat, you've just measured it flat.
That's really devastating to them.
So to describe tides, you would need a flat earth. Do I need to give an explanation for why there are tides at the point that you need a flat earth to describe them?
No?
Nope, that's my point.
Okay, I might stand corrected until an example immediately becomes the exception to the norm. Actually, the norm. Where my example kicks in and the glober says, I've got this example from a globe, what have you got? And like I say, the uninitiated doesn't recognise the logical fallacy of false dichotomy, and they start explaining it because I'm under pressure, and I'm on InfoWars, and I better give them something. Brian?
Yeah, you give them right back what you gave them in the beginning. Did you hear what I just said? Earth is measured flat. Here's how. Bang, 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 bang. So what are you telling me about tides? Did you not hear what I just said? Now you're in command.
Well, that wouldn't be my response if they brought up tides. My response would be, I don't make claims about how tides work. I can allude to things like convection and different things like that, and I could give an explanation, but I can't prove that that's exactly what's causing tides. But I know that within your paradigm, you know, Mr. Bowler, there is no explanation, even an explanation anymore for how tides work. And he's going to go, there is gravity. No. That's gone since 1915. You don't have any.
Yeah, but then you're doing with it.
No, I'm not doing with it. I'm not doing with it. Because there's a difference between using the heliocentric paradigm against them and what Whitsitt did. Whitsitt, now, I understand it because I've found myself being caught in that a little bit myself, going on with my heliocentric prowess when I should be just using it against them. You know, that can happen. But what I'm doing there is using my knowledge of the heliocentric paradigm to take away, like, they first start off with, how do you explain tides on your flat earth, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not making claims about it. I could say it's this, that, or the other thing, but I don't know for certain what causes tides. But I can tell you this, that within your paradigm, there isn't even an explanation for what tides. And you're going to go, gravity, and I go, no, not since 1915. The Albert Einstein, it's over. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And they're going to be in a panic. You know what I mean? Because and if they want to get into the nitty gritty, then I'll show them how the gravity they're trying to claim has absolutely no connection whatsoever and cannot connect to general relativity. You know what I mean? That's where, if I'm going to use my heliocentric prowess, I'll use it that way against them.
And with a guy like that, and with a guy like that, you could say, you've been to higher learning. You know this.
Okay, so we've got some Keplerian scale.
Okay, John.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, Nathan. I just want to say. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, John. About the widget. I'm confusing. I have to go on the widget show and ask him this question. But anyways, if you are talking about Coriolis as a real force in the old equation he's talking about or whatsoever, he is talking about the Coriolis as a force
Who are you talking about?
To count. I'm
Who?
talking about
Why hold me,
widget.
Johnny?
How he's.
Are you just saying Witter was saying it's a force? Johnny.
Yes.
You said
Again and
Witter
again
was-
and again. And I have to. Yeah.
Well, maybe we didn't hear that
So
part there,
if
no,
Witter-
but it's a pseudo force. But people get in a bad habit of calling it the Coriolis force, as opposed to calling it the Coriolis effect. And you know what I mean? Because it's a pseudo force, not a force. It's only an effect, visual effect.
Right.
But people
Yeah,
get into
but-
a bad habit of calling it the Coriolis force.
That's his title.
He
though,
was
isn't it?
talking about that.
Hold on, I'm just going to correct Brian. That is its official title, though. So the Coriolis force is a pseudo force, but the title, it's a bit like Michelson-Morley experiment. That's its title. Well, it's not an experiment, but that's still its title. As incorrect as it may be, it is labelled the Coriolis force, and the force is the not actual deflection, which is pseudo. It's not actually deflecting.
Well, when you demonstrate it, Nathan, if you were to demonstrate it, are you demonstrating the Coriolis force, or are you demonstrating the Coriolis effect?
The effect of the ball drifting as a result of the Coriolis forces and
If you put
rotational
into
force.
YouTube,
I'm just detailing what it says in the. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if you put into YouTube the Coriolis effect, would you get videos showing you the Coriolis effect and trying to explain it?
Yeah, it's got multiple different titles, but I'm just being matter of fact. It is titled the Coriolis force, and you're right to ascribe or introduce the word pseudo because it is. Yeah, there is no ball deviation. It's an effect that you observe. It's apparent, that is to say, not actual deviation. But the effect of it deviating is ascribed incorrectly, as you're pointing out, the title Coriolis force. Now, it isn't, but yeah, I'm agreeing with you, but just being matter of fact in terms of what you could search. You go to Wikipedia and the title at the top is Coriolis force.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand.
Can I talk about that just a little bit, John and Nathan? Because I am talking about this because a specific, because not only widget in our circularization is talking about it now, just like the globe are doing. The Coriolis is an actual effect to something,
Yes.
and that is absolutely wrong.
Well,
And I cannot understand. People don't understand that it is a fictional force. That it's about visualization. If something is moving, yes, it's a real force. If it is, if you don't get that effect, then it isn't.
Okay,
So we are talking about.
Let's just summarize this because I want to move on to.
Non-inertia.
Okay. Just want to summarize this. Thank
Non-inertia.
you. Right. So yes, you're absolutely right. Where we tend to focus on their ascribing a not actual force of down in their ether sensation, you're saying no. They also convolute the idea of a inertial force when they're describing a pseudo force when detailing Earth's rotation / star rotation, with the same ascribing of a force to a not actual deviation, in this case Coriolis. Gotcha. I hadn't spotted it before. Maybe we'll start paying a bit more attention and seeing that they've also hijacked another globe concept that doesn't actually occur. Okay,
not
gotcha.
a globe concept.
Well, Coriolis isn't, but the ascribing of it to a rotating surface that is the surface of Earth is what I mean.
It's a
Yes,
real
but that
visual.
surface
Hold on, Johnny. Hold on, Johnny. Johnny, we got your point, Johnny.
Sorry.
You're just rumpusing the discussion about your very coherent and excellently well put point. We're just going to discuss it now.
My point is that to describe this not actual pseudo force, this, if you want to call it an actual force, that's your problem. You don't understand it. You need an inertial plane of reference. and you need a non-inertial plane of reference.
Yeah, for the globe, it's the axis.
You need,
Again, you'll need a flat Earth for that.
yes, yes, you will. So when they talk about in the Coriolis force, the Earth turning, they're talking about the flat plane turning. They're not talking about their globe surface. You can look at the mathematics; it will clearly show you the plane of reference is turning, not the celestial sphere.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because in the mathematics, when they go to the equatorial plane, it's always presumed you have vernal equinox, which means there's no tilt, and the equatorial plane extends out into the celestial plane, making it a massive plane. And they do this with astronomy and celestial navigation. Then they presume that the celestials are moving and they're stationary. That's how they do it. When it comes to the Coriolis effect, not force, effect, they pre-assume that we're rotating and the stars are stationary. That's what they're pre-assuming. I don't think they're using a flat plane for that, John.
Yeah, they are.
The equatorial plane. They
How are they using that?
plane
How are they using that in determining that we're
absolutely,
rotating?
it's 100% back. I'm not kidding you. Just look at the math. Don't trust me. Just look at it.
Just hold on. Hold on. There's only one word you need to understand that that's the case. Axis. As soon as they say that, axis with reference to what?
Yes. I think
plane
they
of
would need a flat plane for that. I think I don't see how they'd need even mass for it. I just saw
to make the body
'cause it's just
rotate, because they're going to make it rotate about an axis, aren't they? It doesn't matter if it's the stars or the ground. They say it's the ground for their Coriolis. You're absolutely right. But then you're like, I don't know how that's going to need a flat plane. Well, yeah, it's with respect to the axis. The axis is with respect to the horizontal plane of reference. It will absolutely, without question, need a flat Earth for them to describe their rotational values.
Yeah, but rotation, see, my point being is that the Coriolis effect is purely an optical effect. So all they need to do is point towards the celestials and say, we're moving, not them. I don't see how they even need maths for that.
Ah, good point. I tell you why.
You know what I mean?
Because it was introduced by Foucault. That's why. So
Yeah, I was going to say that, Foucault.
Yeah, it's introduced as an assertion that's beyond the original claim. So to have Earth turning by way of observation, you just describe that the Earth is moving, the stars are stationary with respect to the plane of reference that you're going to describe with an axis. Yeah, well, that's the body of the ground moving rather than the stars moving. Fine. Until you actually need to demonstrate that is the case. Then you need a parlor trick. Well, who comes up with the parlor trick? Foucault. With gyros and pendulums. And what are the gyros and pendulums doing? Well, they have a fixed frame of reference that spins or swings back and forth, or spinning in free space. And the claimed deviation that is observed from an item that is not deviating is the claim that the ground itself, attached to the gimbal or attached to the frame of the pendulum, rotates underneath, giving you your second flat plane of reference for the effect to be described. So it all gets ballsed up at the point of Foucault in the rhetoric, because then they actually ascribe the ground to a physically demonstrable effect where the ground turns underneath. It pegs them to it. For just one last point, I tried to go through this with Ballbusters. In the pre-show, Neil was saying, well, you made your righteous choice over and above the money that you would have earned if you'd have just kept them on side by pointing out that science was true. Well, on the same show, their balls up on Netflix was fresh in everyone's mind. And I was there explaining to them that no, the claim that you've got a deviation in the gyro is a claim that you've got Earth turning underneath stuff as a non-inertial turning frame of reference. Therefore, Earth turns under balloons and helicopters and aeroplanes and you if you jump up and down. That was one of the messages I was on Globebusters trying to convey. That is to say, it's useful to take their assertion as read. You say Earth turns underneath the pendulum, knocking over these dominoes, then Earth turns underneath the pendulum and aeroplanes and hot air balloons. It pegs them to their claim, so they can no longer do the anti-flat Earth thing. Oh, well, they both turn together. You and your reference phones are ruined, says Simon Dan. That's where they normally go until you've got Foucault to peg them to their claim.
just quickly, John.
Also, reference frames and the descriptions of reference frames is a mathematical description. They're stuck.
They need a flat Earth.
They need a plane of reference.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Can I add something to that?
No,
After Brian,
one
go.
second.
Hold on. Just let's get an order. Hold on, George. Just got to get some order. Brian, then George. Go ahead.
Yeah. The problem is that it didn't start with Foucault. It started with Kepler, a long time before Foucault.
Stop.
So
just say Foucault.
Sorry?
You're going to trigger the swearing algorithm if you're not careful the way you're saying it. Foucault.
Foucault. Well, I'm not intentionally doing that.
I know, just the way your Irish accent says that word, it's going to trigger the swearing algorithm.
Okay, I'll try it. Yeah, Louis Foucault. Right, right. I'll just say Kepler. It started with Kepler. Right. Right. It started with Kepler. I'm not going to try to say in the other word.
I'll just say Fred.
It started with Kepler. You have me self-conscious about saying it now.
Oh, here we bloody go. I just don't want to get flagged for swearing when you're not.
I won't say the word. We can leave me make the point.
Oh,
the point is
it made me cringe. It made me cringe right in the middle of a live show. So Brian's managed to turn this into, I'm trying to make Brian self-conscious. No.
I'm trying to make a point. I won't say that name, okay? I only say the word Kepler. It started with Kepler because that's where the heliocentric claims started. So the rotation of
So Brian is not better than me.
You're my favourite. Go ahead, Brian.
The rotation of a globe Earth, it starts with Kepler. So there was a claim a long time before the other French guy. There was a claim a long time before him about the stars being stationary and us rotating.
Yeah, I get that. But I did disclose that. I said initially, right, Keplerian mathematics is descriptions of the stars and only the stars, though, isn't it? It's tracking the motion for predictive capabilities. That's what the maths is for.
With respect.
Sorry?
With respect to a plane of reference,
yeah, of course. Of course, he's taken his data from the ephemeris. He's got to have a flat plane for his starting point and his maths. But my point is that he hasn't got the problem that they have on a heliocentric claim when you actually tie their claim to Earth by way of showing a parlor trick that has a physical claim that Earth is turning underneath the pendulum or gyro. Then you've got an actual claim on your hands. So Earth is turning underneath as a separate reference frame. Separate reference frame. That's it. That's their claim tied down.
George wanted to go.
Indeed, the 15 degree an hour. They do indeed need the equatorial plane because the claim is the pendulum swing north to south, and there is a deviation of rotation of the Earth from east to west. So they do need the equatorial plane for the claim. And north and south is a horizontal
north and
vector
south
as well.
Is relative to a horizontal plane of reference.
Precisely. Say that again, John.
Yep.
The magnetic descriptions of north are with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, as demonstrated by needing to level the compass.
Okay, just for the benefit, so we can round this out, as we've got a Coriolis discussion and we happen to have the diagram flash up with reference frames ruined from Simon down. Okay, these circles are representing a non-inertial turning frame of reference. That is to say, this is a roundabout. It will be turning. Now, this ball, imagine the line is extended further beyond the roundabout, and there's two people. One person stood here, and the other on the other side of the roundabout. And all they're doing is playing catch. They're tossing the ball backwards and forwards between each other. They are not on the roundabout. So all that's happening is that the roundabout's turning, and there's someone playing catch over the top of it. Okay, that's the scenario. That's what's actually happening. Now, if you sit on the roundabout, you become this red dot, moving down to this bottom diagram. As you turn on the roundabout, part of the Johnny, can you mute? Part of the non-inertial turning frame of reference, your vision, that is to say what you see, is the ball do this. it appears to curve because you're turning beneath it. So just to summarize, ball moves straight. In reality, ball appears to curve because you're turning beneath it when you observe it traveling straight. That is the Coriolis effect. The observation of the not actual curved path, because the paths are actually straight, because you turn beneath. It's a not actual deviation. This deviation, this curved path, isn't real. It just looks like it curves because you are turning. That is the claim that the globe has. A flat plane of reference to describe this effect, turning underneath things like footballs and sniper rifle fire and pendulums and gyros.
Oh, and how do you correct for it?
You don't. It's a not actual effect. It's just apparent. Wolfie 6020 is what you're referring to in rebuttal to Anthony Riley in a comment section, where he claimed he could account for Coriolis deflection. Wrong. It's a not actual deviation. There is no Coriolis button you can press in your aeroplane. Wolfie's just an idiot and didn't understand Coriolis effect. Meanwhile, this is how it's detailed with a GIF inside Wikipedia, with this turning and that turning, and it explains underneath. The top reference frame is you looking down upon a ball that's travelling straight, and the bottom one is you sat on a roundabout watching the ball look like it curves, in essence. Johnny, you're flashing away off mute the whole time during my discussion. Go on.
No, I was waiting until you were finished.
You're off mute. Just wait till I'm done and then come off mute. Otherwise,
yes.
you're cutting the lines.
No, okay.
Go ahead.
I will say it in a bad English because many people understand bad English better than your perfect English. You know what I mean?
Didn't understand a word of that.
I will just say because you don't understand bad English. You're perfect. Your English is perfect. So that I'm trying to say is, if you are on a rotating Earth, then everything above you will be drifting away from you somehow.
Yeah, we definitely notice.
Coriolis effect. But because the Coriolis effect is a real thing, but it's not a real thing in nature in our real life.
Well, there are a couple of examples. That's not true. We postulated this a couple of years ago on Ballbusters. So if you were in a whirlpool, yeah? You with me, Johnny? You're in the whirlpool. That is to say, you're part of the rotating body of water. And you look out and see a branch on the shore. And you go, oh, that branch looks like it's coming towards me. Oh, it's going away. Oh, it looks like it's coming towards me. Oh, it's going away again. Wow, that branch is active. No, you're turning underneath the branch. And it just looks like it's coming towards you and going away. Because you're part of a rotating body of water.
It looks like.
Yeah, that's Coriolis effect, though, isn't it?
Illusion.
It's an illusion. But I'm nearly there. That's an illusion that I can give you an example of that could occur in nature, right?
There we have it. I think we can stop there. I think everybody just can think about it now, and we cannot.
Hold on, Johnny. Hold on, I got something, because Paula said something to me that made sense. She said just the fact that you're putting these apparatuses together to demonstrate if there's a Coriolis, that there is. The Earth is not spinning. Because if it was, all you had to do is throw a ball back and forth to each other. You have to get on a spinning reference frame. The whole experiment, or whatever you want to call it, demonstration, is foolish.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm glad you say that, because if it is happening, then you will see everything drifting, just like Nathan has said, the drones, this and that, airplanes, whatsoever. And everything that's up of you will be drifting away from you. And also the clouds, they will also be drifting in a very...
Okay, can we stop listing stuff that would be drifting away? Yeah, everything that's not on the ground. Okay, yeah, I hate this subject. Can we move on?
Can we move on?
I would like to point out something. This isn't a globe Earth claim. As far as I can see, the only people that have a claim to this are Ethereans of flat Earth. Every description, every depiction, every demonstration has required a flat plane of reference.
Yep.
I don't see how this is a globe claim.
No, it's not. It needs a flat Earth to describe it with respect to the axis.
While we have a little bit of time left on the show, Nathan, I put in 2 videos. They're only really short. The first one's only 4 minutes. The other one's only a short video, like a minute video. Just above in Master B, where Bible U put in a link. Just go up above Bible U's comments, and you'll see there's a guy there with a beard, and it's about the moon. It's about the moon rotation. It's the biggest heap of rubbish ever. Just play that, and you see such utter nonsense. And the reason that I could give you a lot more, but those 2 are enough, just to show
Rotating.
the moon
Why do we
does
only
not
ever see
rotate.
one side of it? I'm Danny. Welcome to Science Fix. Let's go find out.
Okay, so this is Danny Nick's Science Fix. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I've got a couple of videos that are all short that we will get through before the end of this live stream. But for the meantime, please let this videographer know, courtesy of Brian's Logic, that at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There is a link going through the live stream, even though he's a smaller videographer. The idea of us sending our audience to you is that if you were to make a response, you would put a link to my video in yours. Simple as. So I'll give the audience a couple of seconds just to actually click on that link. Go and leave Danny Nicholson a quick comment. If you like what you see, maybe subscribe. I don't know. I haven't got a clue what he's like. But check him out. Brian's recommendation. I don't know how he's come across him.
I've come across him just to give a little bit, give people a chance to do that. I've come across him because there's this nonsense about how the moon rotates, right? But we never get to see the other side of it, right? No, it does. If it rotated, we'd see the other side of it, even if we're on a globe, right? This is the thing. What they're trying to call a rotation is not a rotation. Remember the compass, where the east and west are just a tangent to a circle of latitude. And the north-facing point is always facing north towards the center. Regardless of how big that circle gets, the point is still the same. You're just making a circle with the east and west line on the compass just being a tangent to that circle. That's what they have got going on here. This is what they're trying to, that's what they do with the moon. And they think that somehow that means it's rotating, when it's just going around in a circle around their globe. Or not, it doesn't, elliptical, they say, but it doesn't matter. Never mind that. The point is, it's going around it, and they're trying to say that it's rotating as it's going around it. And I'm not talking rolling. I'm talking about rotating from front to back, front to back. They have a belief that it's rotating. Hold
on. Okay, you've said it about 5 times. Just to clarify what you're suggesting. Rather than their misapprehensions about how a horizontal plane of reference with an axis can describe a tidally locked moon in a heliocentric model, that is to say that one face of the moon faces Earth as it traverses around Earth in a circular motion. Yeah, that is to say, they suggest that that's rotation as it dances around us in a, what I think they call tidally locked fashion. But you're suggesting that the numpties who don't understand the actual heliocentric claim, because they're amateurs, are actually under the misapprehension that the thing's physically rolling around us. Right? It is actually spinning as we turn about our own axis with respect to a horizontal plane. Correct, Brian?
Well, no. It's actually an official heliocentric claim that it's rotating. But when you see what it is that they're trying to say, it's not a rotation.
Okay.
Well, watch this guy's whole video, because he shows 2 demonstrations. First one with a balloon, and the second one he has with a diagram, moving diagram. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Okay, we've got 100 people watching, right? And hopefully a few of them have just gone and returned and let him know that we've sent them. But there's 100 people watching. Let's actually get into the video. I know someone else wants to get a word in. Try and keep it quick.
Before that, can I say because Brian was talking about
Johnny, then John.
I know it's getting long now, but I just because Brian was talking about the compass, and everybody is standing on the surface in every direction. They will never get the north direction if they are standing with compass that they are pointing right in front of them. So they will never get the north direction that way. Just that is just saying if you think about how you navigate and use compass, you will never get to the north if you are using compass on a spherical Earth. I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, you need a flat Earth for a compass. We did cover this earlier. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, their description of it in their description, the moon is moving around the horizontal plane of reference. If you had that in your description, but you were only seeing one side of the moon, in that case, the moon would be turning with respect to the horizontal plane of reference. It would be spinning.
Yes. It's dancing around in a circle, which means it does have a spin to its motion. It's just tidally locked to a ball in the circle of that in the center of that motion that is also turning at the same spin rate. Therefore, what they call tidally locked. So you only see one face.
Not a ball. No, not a ball. There'll be a horizontal plane of reference in that description.
Look, don't get lost in the horizontal
John is
plane
correct for the mathematics, because otherwise we're going to have rumpusing. Yes, you are correct. Just to describe it mathematically, you must have a plane of reference with an axis running through it to describe that. How it's depicted in a heliocentric model that we never actually see beyond a simple diagram to describe this, and I have seen that. It's how I described it, but that is fallacious because they don't actually have a mathematical description that can work beyond the horizontal plane of reference. Yes, John. Go ahead, Brian.
It doesn't. This is the point. This is not. This debunks their claims, their paradigm.
We play the video.
When you look at what
we haven't even seen 20 seconds of it.
No, hang on, no. Right, because of what John's after saying. No, you're under the same misapprehension as all the borders, as this guy who's making this video, that it does rotate within their paradigm, but they just don't see it. No, it doesn't rotate. That's the point. When you look at what the demonstrations show and what it actually, and this is not just.
Let me just try and paraphrase, Brian. Brian, it does rotate. It just does not rotate about its own axis.
No, it doesn't rotate at all. It just rotates around. Yeah, but they're claiming it rotates about its own axis.
Okay, well, that's wrong.
No, it does. It does. Because if it didn't, you would see different faces of the moon in their description with respect to a horizontal plane.
No, John.
It would.
Look at it's not rotating about its axis. It's not doing that, even within their own paradigm. They have a belief. This is why I want to show you the video, because this is heliocentrism gaslight. It's another big gaslight from heliocentrism.
Let's get into the video. We can argue about this for the next 20 minutes, or we can just actually hear what he says. Let's do it.
Have you ever looked up at the moon and wondered?
Nope, never.
Why you always see the same face all the time? I mean, it's got to be rotating, right? So if
look into libration.
If the moon's rotating, why don't we see it rotate all the way around? From where we are on Earth, we only ever see the same face. There's a famous album that talks about the dark side of the moon, but actually there's no permanently dark side of the moon, but there is a far side that we've never seen until 1959, when the Russians put a space...
Check this out. Ugh, woof.
Space probe called Luna 3 in orbit around the moon. That space probe sent pictures back to Earth, a bit like this one, and that side of the moon looks very different to the...
This picture's fake. Taken from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. This is not the back of the moon. Total lie.
Space that we always see. So, if the moon is rotating, why don't we see all of it over the course of a month?
So if it is rotating, why don't we see it rotating?
It's quite a hard one to get your head around, as several things are moving at once. So the moon is actually rotating on its own axis, but at the same time it's also rotating the Earth. Now, over millions and millions and millions and millions of years, the gravity of the Earth has slowed the moon's rotation down. This is called tidal lock. So overall...
This is called special bleeding.
The gravity of the Earth...
Can I also say...
slowed
Can
the
I
moon
also
down.
say, can you hear how funny he is? He's very, very funny. It's like a comedy, directly. I just have to point it out.
About comedy, it's just a lot of
too
special
funny.
pleading.
Enough
It's funny.
so that the rotation of the moon is the same as one orbit around the Earth. So there's a couple of important facts that we now need to think about. The first one is...
What's the issue? Brian, what's the issue?
Watch it. He actually shows first with a balloon. Then he goes on to show a diagram where he shows a little with a circle with 4 colors in it and it rotating. Then he goes on to show the same diagram with a center point globe and it not rotating.
Okay.
It's going
The
around
moon
in a circle
rotates on
above
its
it.
own axis, and this takes 28 days to do one full rotation. And the moon orbits around the Earth, and this also takes 28 days. So if the two things are the same, as the moon goes around the Earth, we only ever see the same face pointing towards us. It's almost as if the moon is captured by the Earth, and as the Earth spins, it just holds it in place. But that's not actually happening. The moon is actually rotating. If you're not convinced, here's some animations that might help. So in this first animation, I've coloured sections of the moon to make it clearer. So if you look down on the moon, you can see that the moon is rotating. As the moon rotates, it's also travelling around the Earth. The time it takes to orbit the Earth is exactly the same as the time it takes to make one.
What's he doing? We'll eventually see the back of this in this diagram.
Yeah,
full
that's the point.
rotation. It's the exact same animation of the spinning Earth,
That's
but I've now made it.
No, it's
You
not.
will
If you look
eventually
at
see the back of it if it wasn't rotating.
No, you're right.
No.
John's right. If you look, the
No.
line between yellow and red is always pointing at the centre.
Move in a circle.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it
So it's
doesn't
not
look like the
rotating.
moon is rotating. It just looks like it's just pointing towards the Earth all the time. But
Hang
it
on,
is still
Nathan.
doing its spin. So if we were standing on the
Nathan.
Earth looking out,
Yes.
Will you stop when I'm asking to stop? He showed a circle with 4 colors and it rotating around. So the yellow and red were pointed towards the globe and then, or towards us, let's just say, then the yellow and red were pointed away from us. Then he goes and shows a demonstration where the yellow and red is always pointed towards the globe. That's not the moon rotating around its axis. They're claiming the moon is rotating about its axis. That's what they're claiming.
Yeah, you're right. In
Just
this diagram, he has got it rotating about its own axis. And no, that's wrong.
And then he shows it not doing that.
Yes.
This is his
it
belief.
would. The description, it would have to rotate about its own axis, else you would see all of its faces within their description.
No.
Its face,
Back
no,
to
its faces,
yeah.
no. Its
No,
faces
imagine a
has to do-
yo-yo.
no.
Imagine a yo-yo at the end of a string. Yeah? You can have this, you can just, like he did with the balloon, you can just hold the yo-yo fixed against the string with you holding it, with you rotating.
Is that yo-yo
Yeah, trying to
pointing
make
in the
things up
same
now.
direction? Is the yo-yo pointing in the same direction as you spin it?
If you're on the non-inertial frame of reference, then you're always seeing the same face of it. If you're outside of that reference, if you're in the inertial frame of reference, then you would see it turning. You would see the back side of it from the inertial frame.
Right. So from the inertial frame, you can describe it as rotating.
Yeah, you're right.
No, you can't. That's
can.
completely wrong. It's completely wrong. It's making a circle around the outside of the globe, but it's not rotating about its axis. It's not doing that. At no point, if you treat that, see that circle with the 4 colors, if you treat the red and yellow part, that side is pointed towards north. If you treat the center of that globe as if it's north, right, and you treat that black axis throughout that circle as north, south, east, west, when is that yellow and red ever pointed towards south? The other way. It's not. They believe, and this is the point I'm trying to make. This is really massive heliocentric programming. They have a belief, that's why a man showed it with his diagram, that the moon is rotating about its axis, but we just don't see it, the other side of it. But it would have to, we'd have to see the other side of it. regardless of what we're on, you'd have to see the other side of it because someone's going to see it.
No.
It's a
No.
yes,
No.
yes.
Mathematically,
You'd
correct.
only see
No.
it
No, I'm
from
not. No, I'm not.
outside of the non-inertial frame of reference. That is to say, from the inertial frame of reference, right? So you take yourself off the point of rotation, so you're no longer in the center watching one face. Yeah, like my yo-yo example. So someone's holding a yo-yo and they're spinning around. Well, if you're the one holding the yo-yo and the yo-yo at the other end is not spinning, it's just like this example with the yellow line and the red line pointing to you. As you spin around, you see that line always pointing towards you. For the person that's not you, watching you spin around with the yo-yo, they do see the back and the front of the yo-yo. As they turn their back to you, you see the front of the yo-yo. And as they're facing you, you see the back of the yo-yo. So, yeah, from your perception, outside of the spinning frame, that's the non-inertial frame, you do see the yo-yo rotating.
No, the yo-yo does not rotate. That's the point. They're claiming a rotation that's not happening. Even when they have to show it through demonstration, it's not happening. The red and yellow are never pointed.
It does. It just
the red and
rotates
yellow is
with
never
respect
pointed
to
away from the globe.
It just rotates with respect to a detached axis further away. But if you imagine, instead of you've got a person holding a string with a yo-yo at the end, yeah, just instead of it being a yo-yo, right? Now we'll make it a hula hoop. So you've got the same string extending out to the one point on a hula hoop, and then you've got the whole hula hoop all the way around you, yeah. Well, again, if you colour in that hula hoop, yeah, you can see that the hula hoop is actually spinning around in the motion that the single yo-yo point was spinning around. And all the different colours on the side of the orbit, if you want to call it that, are changing when you're outside of the frame of reference that spins. That is the inertial frame. So it is spinning, Brian.
No, it's not. That's the point. You're allowing heliocentrism to literally gaslight you.
No, I'm not. I just understand. I just understand frames of reference. I'm not being gaslit. I just understand that from the inertial frame of reference, it's spinning. It is.
If we were on a rotating globe, right, we would still see the moon only the one face we're seeing because it's not rotating on its axis. It's not doing that. Even within their demonstration.
No, you're right. Okay, okay. No, it's not rotating about its own spherical axis with its own radial value. Hold on, Brian.
Oh my
trust me, I know
God.
what I'm talking about here. Right, it's not rotating about its own axis. In this example, it's rotating about the Earth's axis, tidally locked to it.
I know that.
But that is still nearly there, Brian. Nearly there. So it is rotating about an axis then. Earth's axis in this example.
Oh my God. Why are you not listening to me? In their paradigm, they're claiming that the moon is rotating about its own axis as well. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, well it isn't.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Can we keep on with the video? Can we keep on?
Can we get on to Joe Rogan now? We're already 5 minutes over on the live stream. Earth and globe both need a horizontal frame of reference to have this argument. So let's just round it out there unless you've got anything else to add.
No, you're missing the point. You're missing this. You're missing this completely. The importance of it.
Okay, well, can we discuss it in the after show? Because I want to do this Joe Rogan clip because I flashed it up on screen several times. I don't know if the videographer is the JRE channel or not, but I'm going to put the link because this is the video that we're playing. So let the videographer know. It might be JRE, it might not, I don't know. But let him know. Out Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Same shtick as always. The purpose of doing this is if the person, I don't know if it is Joe Rogan, but if he was to respond, hopefully put a link to my video. Anyway, let's crack on. Get my buttons in the right order. There we go.
From Earth to the Sun, and now Sirius A, and then look at this one. Look at Pollux, and look at this one, Arcturus. Now look how much bigger they are than the Earth. Look at this one. Look at that one, Aldura.
Look at this guy.
No, wait.
Okay, so what he's discussing is the Keplerian scale that's ascribed with the use of Huygens ascribing Venus with the same R value as Earth so we can get Kepler's third law to actually give us the values for each of these stars. So the scale is Kepler, and the what's the word that you would use for the value that you must insert to give the scale actual numbers? Scaling value, is that the correct term for the Venus assumption with R? Say again.
It'd be a ratio. It's a ratio.
But with a R-based ratio imposed on Venus for the Keplerian scale in his third law of orbital mechanics, we get this extrapolation where we actually have someone made an objection about this. I think it was, who was it that made the objection? Brahe? I think it was Brahe. My history's a bit rough on this. It's been a while. I think Brahe objected to Kepler with the objection that the stars, based on his scaling system, would have to be enormous. Yeah, that was put forth as an objection.
That we are talking about, Nathan, we are talking about this assumption from the beginning. Assumption of the Venus is the same size as the Earth. So where did they get that from? That's the question in the air.
The R value came from a flat Earth measurement of Polaris. It's the minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris. So when you can picture Polaris not being able to be seen anymore, that minimum gives you the outside edge of a globe because it's a flat Earth angle measurement.
Yeah, but Nathan, that's not it's not answer to how they were able to get the assumption for the Venus is the same size as the Earth.
It was just Huygens. Well, they didn't. It was just, I've seen it detailed in a few different ways. The best one being Huygens' ingenious assumption. He just arbitrarily decided that Venus was the same size as Earth. When we call it Earth's twin, that's purely Huygens, who just said, well, if we use that as the scaling value, then we can calculate out all of these sizes. That's where we end up. This is where we end up with Joe Rogan saying, look how big this star is. No, it's just a dot, but based on the scale given by Kepler and heliocentric motion, with Huygens' superimposition of Earth-based flat measured R values onto Venus, you can get these sizes. That's it.
Okay, then I will say that it's guessing. Sorry, I just want to say one more.
Johnny, just read between the lines, man.
I was in the middle in the sentence. I was in the middle of the sentence.
Keep waffling, I would.
So
Johnny,
it is just like guessing game. No, I'm not. Guessing game it is about. Okay, now keep on.
Go ahead, John.
Kepler give them the ratio, Huygens give them the scaling value. The scaling value
I got it the wrong way
is
around.
Earth's radius.
Sorry, my bad. Huygens gives us the scale, and Kepler gives us the ratios. Correct?
Well, Huygens gives us the scaling value.
Yeah, scaling value.
The ratio is the same.
Kepler gave us the elliptical orbit because he had to make it that way to make what he was trying to make work mathematically. He gave us the elliptical orbit.
That wasn't all he gave us.
Okay, let's get into this later. We'll just listen to the rest of this. It's just going to be about the sizes of stuff.
Just wait. Look at this.
What's that?
That's a blue hypergiant star called.
Yeah, wait till you get to Betelgeuse or something stupid.
Pistol star.
One's just called God.
Bro, no, look, it keeps going, dude.
What is this one?
No, these are the stars. This is how crazy the universe is. Look at that one. Stevenson. Now, no, we're not done. Look at the size of a black hole. Supermassive black hole.
There's bigger ones.
No, look at the size of this one.
This.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, this is all nonsense. These are just tiny little points of light in the sky. In the case of black holes, not even that. Man, they've introduced this. This is new on me. So the last time I saw this being done, it didn't have black holes as part of the scale. Anybody seen this being done before?
Can't see it.
Yeah. Well,
I think that Joe Rogan is just joking. He's just joking around. That's my opinion.
No, this is standard heliocentric rhetoric, actually. He's just going through standard heliocentrism. I mean, the black hole scaling thing is new to the diagrammatical examples. I've not ever seen this done this way before, with black holes coming after Alpha Centauri and Betelgeuse and all the rest of them. But there we go. I mean, that other than this, it's fairly standard fare.
he can't be talking about a black hole. He's got to be talking about the event horizon of a black hole in their description. The black hole would be a point in space-time, not bigger than a sun. It'd be its event horizon. So he's just wrong.
Okay, I'll have to give that some more digging. Was there another video that you wanted to cover, Brian? You said there was two.
Well, there's another moon shot there that shows the same thing. But my point about all this is that the shot that's just above that last video you played, my point about all this is that they're claiming that the moon rotates about its own axis within their paradigm.
I'm not allowed this one. The Great American Eclipse, not available in this country.
That's not mine. That's not that one. The one above the last one you played. That's level up. That's not me.
Well, what I would like to say about that, right? Depending, like if you were on the yo-yo in Nathan's example, and you were describing not only your movement, right, around whoever's spinning the yo-yo, if you were giving it the from that frame of reference as an objective direction, you would be changing your direction and in that way rotating about on your own axis from that frame of reference. That's what they're talking about. It's an argument from frames of reference. And you're begging the question so far at that point, you ain't going to win.
No, Don. They're claiming the moon rotates about its own axis. Not that it just goes around the globe when the globe is rotating. That's what they're claiming.
Okay, that might be what a misinterpretation of a YouTuber comes across as. But in their heliocentric rhetoric, the moon is not rotating about its own axis.
Yes, that's what they're claiming.
Right, well, they're wrong. In standard heliocentric rhetoric, it isn't.
My point is that reality... Look, I give up.
Okay. Do we want to cover the one that Mush put in? Because I think that's probably worthy of a more lengthy show.
I give up. I didn't mean you about to play the video.
Oh, the moon one. The other moon one. You can do.
Do you want me to send you NASA?
470 kilometers.
1 second.
Or roughly the distance across China. It's more than a quarter the size of our Earth. It has an average distance from the Earth of 380,000 kilometers. Because the moon rotates and revolves at the same rate of approximately 27 days, we always see the same side of the moon. The moon goes through 8 phases as seen.
His diagram was wrong also, because as it rotated from our inertial frame of reference in his diagram, we continued to see the same face of the moon. Well, that's incorrect, right? You should see the backside of the moon as it comes into view with it occulting the Earth. And then as it goes around the other side in orbital motion and the Earth occults the moon, you should see the face that people on Earth see, right? Well, that's not what he had in that diagram that just went by, because in the frame of reference that we were at, we were looking back at the Earth and its rotation as we continued to see the same face of the moon. So his diagram was wrong also, Brian. So it seems, just so that you feel like I'm not like knocking your point because we've debated it, in these diagrams, it seems there is some misapprehensions and incorrect diagrammatical examples of the Earth and moon relationship. Because in some they've got, like with the guy in his colour wheel, the colour wheel rotating about its own axis. Wrong. And in this example, you've got the moon with the same face always looking at us when we're looking from the inertial frame of reference, which is also wrong. So yeah, the numpties out there don't understand the heliocentric rhetoric and are getting it wrong, at least diagrammatically.
No, they're getting it right. Go to, I just put in science.nasa.gov, hot moon questions. I just put that link into Master B. Read the very first 2 lines.
Okay, fine.
3 lines, sorry.
But
Hot moon questions. Yes, the time it takes for the moon to rotate once on its axis. Oh.
It's read on.
Well, they were immediately wrong. It doesn't rotate about its own axis. It rotates about the Earth's axis, tidally locked with the Earth. It's the same rotation
Read the
motion
whole
as
thing,
they claim. Neil, fuck's sake!
I'll read it out. I'll read it out, Nathan. Don't worry about it. I'll read it out. My God. Does the moon rotate? Question mark. Does the moon spin on its axis? Question mark. Yes. The time it takes for the moon to rotate once on its axis is equal to the time it takes for the moon to orbit once around the Earth. You're talking about its orbit. I'm talking about the rotation of its own axis that they're claiming it's doing. They're claiming that it's turning around once a month.
Okay, yeah.
That's my point.
This is flat out wrong. Yeah.
They have to.
Yes, I know.
Because if it was in a fixed direction.
Hold on, John. Let Neil get. Hold on, everyone, stop. Let Brian get his exasperation out because he's stumbled upon or unearthed a blatant contradiction that's just flat out wrong. The moon does not rotate about its own axis. It's tidally locked with Earth's rotation in the claimed heliocentric orbital motion that it's claimed to be taking with respect to a horizontal axis that's derived from a plane. Nevertheless, in this description, it is unequivocally saying that it rotates about its own axis. No, it doesn't. In orbital motion, that's wrong. Brian's correct. This is an error.
No, not orbital motion. Listen, I explain something to you, right? It's orbiting around the globe, but it's also, because they have to, claim it's also rotating once a month on its own axis. My point being is the moon does not do that. Heliocentrism is wrong. Not that they're wrong within their own paradigm. No, their own paradigm is a load of nonsense. Their own paradigm is wrong. That's my point.
Okay.
My point. I've known this for years, but I never went at it.
Okay,
I've known about this for years, but.
Okay. Now, the problem with the yo-yo example is you are spinning that yo-yo, right? And
there's no problem with the yo-yo example, John. There's no problem with the yo-yo example.
With it. I'm
It's the yo-yo spinning on its own
Just both of you
axis.
calm down. This is not that big a deal. Chill.
This should be bloody simple. Why? This should be simple. Why is there even a disagreement over this?
There isn't, is there?
There is a disagreement over this.
Yes.
Go on,
the
John.
claim that it's not rotating, right? That means it would have an objective direction. Which way would it be pointing then? Towards the sun?
No.
If it's not rotating with respect to the Earth in their paradigm, you've already begged the question of their paradigm. We're going with that.
No,
you don't get to change
you're missing the point.
No, come on, just let him go, Brian.
You're completely missing the point, John.
Oh, Brian, you don't have to yammer. You're missing the point through the top of me. He hasn't finished.
He's telling me I'm begging the question. I'm not begging the question. That's the point.
Yeah, we are. We're begging the question that the moon is rotating around the Earth. We're getting that, right?
No, we're not talking about their orbit. I don't care about the moon does rotate around the Earth in some way. It does do that. We see it move around. It does do that. Right?
Oh my God.
Hang on. But they're claiming that it's rotating once a month on its own axis, John. They're claiming it's turning around once a month.
And you don't want to hear the explanation of why that has to be so. You just want to say that it's not. And then tell everybody that that's a debunker.
Everybody
That's
take a
what you wanna
breath.
do.
I want to hear why it's not. Go ahead, John. Please don't interrupt him, Brian.
Right. If we use the sun as our fixed point, then the moon has that face at that fixed point. Now, if you were going to describe it that way, the moon would have to be rotating with respect to the Earth. Because remember, you're changing your frame of reference again. We've already got into allowing them to change their frame of reference, put themselves in a non-inertial frame of reference to describe this, then move out to an inertial frame of reference. Then you would have to move back to the non-inertial frame of reference of the moon as describing it with respect to the inertial frame of reference. You would have rotation of the moon in that respect.
Now, John, you're missing the point.
Oh, God. But he's correct.
No, he's not.
Correct.
No, he's not.
He is. It depends on your frame of reference.
Let me debunk all of that. right? We're claimed to be on a rotating globe that's also orbiting the sun. The exact same claim in the relationship between the globe Earth and the moon exists. The moon is orbiting the globe Earth, but it's also claimed to rotate on its axis once a month. That means it's claimed to turn right around once a month. That's their claim. My point is, it's not doing any of that. Their claim is completely outside of reality. That is not happening. Even within their own paradigm, they can't show that happening, because even if we were on a globe, if we were on a globe that was rotating, right, then the point is, if we were on a globe within that paradigm, then we would see the back side of the moon now and again. They're trying to say it's the biggest gaslight ever. You only see one side of the moon, even though it's rotating around all the time. No, if you're on the sun watching the globe Earth go around it, you're going to see the globe Earth rotate once a day.
Does anybody know Earth is flat?
Neil, please.
Okay,
One second. I just want to clear something up here now. Right? Don't go down the road of it's measured flat. I tell you why. Because I was banging that drum years ago. I'm fully aware of that. This is a different point. This is a complete destruction of the heliocentric paradigm. And I shouldn't have backlash over it. It's so simple.
No, I get it.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I was only joking. Hold on. I was making a joke. But if you want to get serious,
we're trying to summarize a quite complicated point here. Neil, we're trying to, Neil, for Jesus' sake, we're trying to summarize a complicated point, and you're rattling through and rumpusing with bloody jokes. No, thank you. Right. So I've summarized Brian's point. He's saying that they've got.
I was banging that drum years ago, Neil, in Norway.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So you said
no, not thank you. A fact, Nathan.
Okay, what do you want me to do? Break through this point about the moon's rotation to acknowledge that you were saying it was flat years ago. Now it's constant interruptions from Brian. Now Brian's turning this into a shit show by talking to... I'm trying to summarise your point. Yeah, we've heard the discussion and the argument. Now I'm going to summarise it. Hopefully without constant Brian talking through me. No, I'm not allowed to summarise this point that's just been discussed for 20 minutes. Brian's not going to allow it. So, Brian's pointing out that in the heliocentric assertion, they have the moon rotating about its own axis once a month. However, in the actual description, when it's tidally locked, it is not rotating unless you're outside the frame of reference. Therefore, there is a contradiction within the heliocentric model, regardless of our understanding of how it can remain tidally locked and still be described as rotating from a inertial frame of reference. That is still correct, but it does still remain, as Brian's pointing out, there is a contradiction. The heliocentric model asserts that it's turning about its own axis once a month. The two aren't conducive. There's a contradiction there. That's Brian's overriding point, regardless of our comprehension of how something from an inertial reference can still be rotating when described as rotating around a sphere that is rotating once a day. Therefore, its frame of reference from the inertial description would be rotating, but that is not the rotation that Brian is having an issue with, or taking umbrage with, rightly so, because they're specifically saying it rotates about its own axis once a month. No, it can't. The convolution between the different reference frames is where they get away with it, and that's what Brian's trying to labour. And I agree with him. Doesn't make John wrong, because his description and my comprehensive understanding of their description still works. We just missed where they've got a contradiction. They're still saying it rotates about its own axis. That's their description. Once a month. Brian's right. This needs highlighting. It is an error. We haven't caught it till now. Brian's pointing it out. Doesn't need me to interject to say how long ago Brian was pointing out Earth's measured flat for all of these horizontal planes of reference to describe all this, and he doesn't want it taken onto that. He's saying there's an issue that's being missed with the contradiction in the heliocentric description of a moon rotating about its own axis once a month. Correct, Brian?
Yeah, you and John are talking about its orbit.
Hold on, John. You can go next, I promise. Go on,
You and
Brian.
John were referencing its orbit. I'm referencing its claimed rotation.
Gotcha.
Well, you obviously didn't understand what I said then. Let me repeat it. If it was not rotating with respect to the inertial frame that we've already begged the question of, to describe its rotation, then it would not face towards the Earth at all times within this place that can't exist because it's automatically fantasy land, but we're begging the question of it to describe it.
John, are you talking about its orbit or its rotation on its own axis?
It would be the rotation on its own axis.
It doesn't rotate on it. They can't even, that's the point, John. That is, even within their own paradigm, all they can show you is the one face going around the outside, like a yo-yo being swung around somebody. There is no rotation on its own axis.
That is an incorrect description. That is an incorrect description. You're debunking an incorrect description. If you were going to describe it correctly, let me tell you where you're wrong.
Let him finish.
I'm not wrong.
Brian, let him finish.
You would have to point one edge of that yo-yo, like in your room you're in now, one edge of that yo-yo would constantly have to be pointing in one direction as you spun it above you. And in that case, you would see all faces of the yo-yo. But you don't see that. So in that respect, it is it is turning about on its own axis.
It's not turning about on its own axis. It's going around the globe's axis. That's the one that's going around. If it was rotating on its own axis, then, and we were on a globe, if we were on a globe and it was rotating around its own axis once a month, we would see it. It's impossible for it to not be seen because the red and yellow in the guy's diagram would be pointed out the way.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, you would, John. Yes, you would.
If it was not
guarantee you, I am fully 100% understanding.
Sides of it.
No,
if it was not rotating about its own axis, you would see all sides of it.
John, it's not. Even within their own paradigm, they're trying to claim it's rotating around once a month on its own axis, and it's not. All it's doing is holding the one side towards the globe and going around as an orbit. That's it.
All right, where do you describe rotation from? Just tell me that.
Rotation.
The axis, correct?
An axis, yeah.
Right. And if you were standing on the moon in their paradigm, could you describe rotation
on the globe, not on the moon, or on the Earth, not on the moon?
Because that's where you describe rotation from, Brian. Do you not understand what rotation is?
I don't understand what rotation is, and they're trying to claim that there is a rotation around its own axis once a month, right? Even within their own paradigm.
Right.
And
so you would have to be on the moon. You would have to be on the moon to describe this rotation. That's where we're going to have to go.
That's the point, John. Oh my God, I can't believe it's so awkward. Okay, John, you go and show me how the moon rotates once a month within their paradigm. But that will mean you can't face the same face of the moon towards the Earth, towards the globe Earth all that time. You have to rotate once. That means the back of it has to be pointed towards the globe Earth at some point.
But rotation must be described with the frame of reference, right? So if I am going to describe the moon's rotation, I would have to be on the moon to describe that, right?
Oh my God, John. Oh my God, why are you standing on the bloody moon? I just can't believe that this is so difficult. This should be simple. It should be, yes, I see what you're talking about, Brian. That's a complete problem for them. No, if I'm standing on the moon, oh my God.
You're not understanding the description, and the people that you're bringing up to show the description are wrong in what they're saying.
John, that's the best they can do. This is my point. You're missing my point completely. They believe that it's rotating on its own axis once a month. But every time they go to show it, they can't show it. They have to show it not rotating on its axis, just orbiting with the same face of it towards the Earth or their globe Earth or anything, or just as an orbit once a month. They can't show it because they have it as part of their claim, but it can't even be shown because it's not happening. That's my point.
Okay, let's draw a line under this for now. We'll get into this more in the afternoon.
There's no rotation of the moon. John, I just posted from NASA. What more do you want? NASA is agreeing with those other with those YouTubers. NASA is agreeing with them. They're doing exactly what NASA is saying, but they can't show it because it's not happening. This should not be happening, John. This should not be something difficult. This should not have been difficult at all. What's the problem?
Right. This rotation is described from the axis. If you're going to put yourself on the moon to describe this, you will have to describe it with rotation.
John, what? If you're standing on the moon, the axis you'll be using will be the globe Earth's axis. Because the moon is not rotating.
No, you won't. I don't describe my motion with perspective.
John, please show me, right, with demo, how they don't get to see the backside of the moon, yet the moon turns around once a month within their paradigm. Show me that. With demo. Show me with a moving diagram how the moon turns around once a month, but no one gets to see it on the globe. Show me how they don't see it when it's at the backside.
I just explained it to you with the wall.
You can't explain it to me. I don't want to hear you explain. I want to just show it. But you'll end up doing exactly what those guys did. Because that's all you can do.
You're not listening to me. I just explained it to you. If you have the yo-yo pointing at the wall as you spin it above you, but the yo-yo remains.
Oh my God.
Hold on, Brian. I want to hear it again from John. Hold on, John. Go ahead.
If you have the yo-yo pointing at the wall, right? That have an arrow on it pointing at the wall, and as you spin it, that arrow would stay at that wall. You would have to describe rotation from the yo-yo, aka the moon, with respect to that.
Yeah, but it isn't
That's
doing
what
that.
they're talking about. They're changing reference frames. We're allowing them now, I guess, because we got to have this debunking, right?
No, it would be rotating about its own axis if it was pointing. If you've got the central point with a string moving out to the yo-yo, and what you're saying is the yo-yo always points to one wall, and as it turns, it always points towards a wall. Well, it doesn't do that in their example. In their example, it always points towards the Earth it's spinning around, as opposed to always points in one cardinal direction. If it was pointing in one cardinal direction, it would be turning about its own axis as it turned around the spinning reference that it's in relation to.
No. If it did not. You see, the fact that you are seeing the same side of it means that it has to be turning with respect to that axis from its point of view.
Yeah, that's correct. But from its point of view, it's turning with relation to the Earth's axis, but not its own. But Brian's point is that in their rhetoric, it does turn around its own axis, which is incorrect.
I just described how it had to, because if it didn't, you would see all sides of it as you spun it above you. You would see the yo-yo facing at that wall, pointing that way, and when it got to the 180 degrees away from you, it would be pointing in the same direction toward that wall, but you would be seeing it from another. You'd be seeing the arrow instead of the back side of the yo-yo. Your mathematical descriptions are wrong.
Let me just try another way, right? So let me just try once more with Brian. Hold on, Brian. The yo-yo itself, right, is something that can turn about its axis. So what we're going to do is the axis itself, we're going to draw a line that points towards the string that you're going to be holding as you rotate with this yo-yo, okay? So what we're then going to do is have the line on the yo-yo as well as on the axle, if that makes sense. So what we'll see is that the yo-yo and the line always points the same direction as the string. That is to say, it's not turning around its axis because it's always pointing towards the string. Ergo, it's not turning around its own axis. For it to be tidally locked with the globe Earth in their description, it cannot be turning around its own axis.
No, you're describing the orbit, not its own rotation.
Yeah,
its own rotation.
Because that's how. Hold on.
It doesn't have a rotation.
Hold on. Let me just talk to John. Yes, that's correct. I am describing the orbital motion because the reference frame that's turning about an axis with respect to a horizontal plane is the center point of the globe Earth on that axis. But that is the only axis that has a rotational value to describe. the moon at the end of the string on its axis, always the line for the yo-yo always points towards the string. It doesn't turn around its own axis for it to be tidally locked.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Because remember, your description is no longer from Earth. It is within their paradigm. You've allowed them that within this description.
No, you haven't allowed them that. You're missing the point completely.
Yes, you have.
They're claiming that the moon rotates on its own axis once a month. So within that 28 days of an orbit, within their paradigm, it's also rotating on its own axis once a month. But yet, nobody ever sees anything but the same face of it. That is impossible if it's rotating on its own axis once a month.
Yeah.
You can't not see the back of it, John.
No.
Yes.
See, you're messing this up because of the description you're giving. You're saying that because that line on the yo-yo is always pointing towards the string, it's not rotating. With respect to what?
Its own axis. With respect to its own axis of rotation.
With respect to its own axis, it is spinning 360 degrees per rotation.
It's not, John. That's the point.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Absolutely.
It's not rotating about its own axis. No, it's not.
The arrow is pointing. The arrow is pointing towards the center of rotation. But they don't believe they are the center of.
It's claimed to do that, but it doesn't do that even within their own paradigm. It's not doing that.
Okay, both of you stop. I'm going to read out some super chats. Stop a second. I'm just going to read out some super chats. Shout out to Iron26 for the $5. He says, if the moon rotates Earth without spinning, let's just try that again. If the moon rotates Earth without spinning, you would see all sides. It needs to rotate about its own axis to keep its own face pointing at Earth. I don't think that's correct. Just read the next one.
It is correct. No. That is absolutely correct. That is the rhetoric. I don't know why you guys can't get this. They're changing the frame of reference. You all are putting a fixed point on the Earth and describing orbital motion and saying that that is rotational value. You're wrong.
No, you're gaslighting yourself.
Okay, well, there's a disagreement, Brian. We know there's a disagreement. Let me just read out the second super chat from Iron26. He's paying to pipe up on this subject. He says, no, Nathan, the string is slipping on the moon axle. That's what John's point is.
Yeah, the string is keeping the axis of the moon fixed upon its frame of rotation in that description. That's not what they're describing. They're describing the Earth spinning with respect to the moon's axis as it turns about that orbit. That's why they invoke both of them, because they have to. If not, you would see all sides of the moon. That simple.
Okay, well, I'll have to give it some more consideration because either I'm not understanding it fully, because as far as I'm concerned, the moon has no rotation about its own axis. You're saying I'm wrong, or let's lay it at Brian's door. Brian's wrong.
No, John is 1,000,000% wrong, and so is everyone else. I'm sorry, you're 100,000,000% wrong. They're trying to claim that the moon is rotating about its own. They're trying to claim we're on a rotating globe, and the moon is rotating around its own axis once a month, yet we don't see anything but the same face of it. No, that means it's not. Hang on 1 second, Eli. That means it's not doing that, even within their own paradigm. This is the point I'm trying to make. They have a claim within their own paradigm that this thing is happening, and it's not happening. Even within their own paradigm, they can't show it because it wouldn't even happen within their own paradigm. It's a big problem for them. It's complete nonsense. You couldn't. This tidal locking thing is a heap of rubbish because it means that you're always seeing the same face. If you're rotating and it's rotating, then how can you always see the same face of it? You can't. It would be impossible. Impossible. That's not what. Even when they show. 1 second, Eli. Even when they're trying to show it as a demonstration. Will you please give me a moment to finish what I'm saying?
Just keep going.
Yeah, I will, because it's my point. So even when they're trying to show it as a demonstration, they have to show it with the moon not rotating about its own axis. Now, Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally have a video that shows you how rotate, like they have like two separate things. They have what represents the Earth is rotating, and then what represents the moon is rotating, and as it moves around the thing that represents the Earth, it itself is making a rotation around its axis. That is happening.
It would have to, else you would see different faces of the moon within that paradigm.
Cared that much.
Hey, just
I don't
read
know.
out Bible. Use comment on the subject if you don't mind. Somebody needs to do a demo. Have a ball on a center track around a camera that follows the ball. Try one orbit with the ball not spinning and another with it spinning, means rotating on its own axis. Have the ball painted differently on each hemisphere so we can see if the face pointing to the camera ever changes. Yeah, I'm with Bible, you and Brian. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see how their motion can have an axial rotation for the moon itself if it's going to remain tidally locked with the Earth. I don't understand.
You're convoluting orbit. You're convoluting orbit and rotation again.
John, you're back to claiming that. Okay, John. Okay, do you want me to get Joe Jabril? I'll show you right now.
Just run over me like that. No.
Oh, okay.
So,
go on, Eli.
Show us then. Show us, Eli. Show us.
I'm going to do a super chat. Shout out to Uncle Ben. He says, I love shows like this. No pain, no gain. Thank you for the super chat, Uncle Ben. Go ahead, Eli.
if you imagine the camera,
My God,
looking at the Earth and just looking at like some wall beyond it at the same point, like that would be it not rotating. It'd just be moving in a circle without spinning. Like the fact that it's following or being trained on a central point as it's moving about it, it's turning itself. Otherwise, like, how do y'all not see that?
the claim, Eli, is that the globe Earth is rotating, the moon is orbiting the globe Earth, and the moon is also rotating on its own axis.
How it wouldn't be if it was fixed on some other wall beyond.
How can it be rotating on its own axis? That's like if you're on the sun in the heliocentric paradigm, you're watching the globe Earth rotate. You get to see all of the globe Earth within one day. They're trying to say that in 28 days, the moon does the same thing as the globe Earth is doing in one day.
Yeah, that's what
How are y'all?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the moon? Like the moon is a solid thing in the sky? Is that your understanding?
We're not making any claims about that, Johnny. Don't go into that. We're not going down that road. We're just talking about a problem within the
But if you're talking about this rotating on their own axis, it has to be solid, right? Almost. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, who cares? This is a sidebar, Johnny. Its composition is a sidebar to what we're talking.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to go down
But
that road,
anyways,
imagine you're looking down at the guy spinning the yo-yo, right? Let's go back to that. And we'll go to your all's example because y'all want to use that one. And the arrow is always pointing towards the string, right? That means you have to describe that yo-yo as turning 360 degrees, the orbit around the individual 360 degrees, but you don't describe rotation with respect to the Earth. The rotation would be with respect or to the guy. The orbit would be, or the rotation would be described with respect to the yo-yo. The yo-yo is not always pointing at one wall. Therefore, it is rotating about on its own axis.
No,
it's that simple.
I don't like the yo-yo description. I don't like that,
agree.
John.
I'm
yo-yo.
really sorry, John.
Nobody
Well
understands.
done, Johnny.
No.
I just don't agree.
Nobody understands.
Go on, Johnny. Let's see if this was worthy.
Is it always facing the same wall, or is it always facing?
Can I finish? Or do you? Okay, I will finish, and then you
we were trying to. We were trying to.
I will just say.
I've extended the show by an hour, Johnny.
Okay, but it will not take a long time.
Yeah, these things do.
It will not take a long
we
time.
don't train to time, Johnny. Oh my God.
All right, check this out. So you and a person are standing facing each other. You have your hand out perpendicular to them. In order to move around them and continuously look at them, and your hand be trained on them, you have to make a rotation yourself. You're not going to tell me that that hand that's perpendicular to them isn't going to make a 360-degree rotation.
Yeah, I'm going to try it a different way. Right. I'm going to be the person that's representing the Earth as a rotating body. And I'm going to hold my arm at arm's length, and I'm going to curl up the end of my finger. Yeah? And on the end of my curled up finger, I'm going to draw a smiley face. So it's looking at me. You with me? Yeah?
Nathan, I have that on. I literally have that on screen.
So you're going to describe
my screen.
an orbit.
Oh, yes,
You're going to describe an orbit.
Okay, can I just...
That's a description of an orbit, not rotation. Sorry.
Hang on. Are you seeing my screen? I just need to know that I'm presenting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Right,
yeah,
okay,
so
can you see it, Nathan?
Yeah, I can see a balloon with a smiley face. I'm halfway through my bloody example.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got one too.
Yeah.
I was halfway through mine, but yes, you've got one on screen because you were there 2 weeks before me. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've got my finger curled up, right? My finger with the smiley face on it is going to be our axis. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a polo on top of my finger, like a ring, yeah? Around the tip of my finger, yeah? So as I spin around and I look at the end of my finger with its smiley face on it, right? That's the axis that the polo's on. In order for the smiley face to always be looking at me, it cannot be turning. It's my finger, it's attached to me. So therefore, for me to be looking at the smiling face, always smiling at me, my finger's not rotating, is it? I am.
Yes, it is.
You're describing an orbit.
No. I'm about to show exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Close your eyes. Look, Nathan, if you close your eyes and imagine that you're the smiley face, tell me you're not going wee in a circle.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
There you go.
But what my smiley face is not doing is turning about its own axis. My finger isn't spinning around its knuckle, is it?
Hold on. No, but the moon hasn't got a string or your arm attached to it. You got to understand the inertial frame of reference as they're describing it. We've already granted them that. If your finger is pointing at the sun as you spin, are you getting it now?
No, because my finger isn't. It's always pointing towards me, like the moon is described to.
So then it has to rotate to keep pointing at you.
No, John. Come here and I'll show you. This is it. Watch the screen. This is the guy, the same video. This was his first demonstration. Then I'm going to show you his second one. This is him trying to show you that the moon is rotating. He has a smiley face on one side of the balloon. Watch. And he's going to demonstrate the orbit and try and show. He's trying to say that the balloon is rotating around once while he's demonstrating the orbit. Watch it. Where is the rotation of the balloon?
Brian, John,
It's a non-inertial frame of
Nathan.
reference. Hold on, I'll explain this to you because you're not getting it. And this guy may not either. This is from the non-inertial frame of reference. We've already begged the question of an inertial frame of reference.
Can everyone stop, right? Brian's trying to concisely get through the fact that as he holds the smiling face, right, the balloon with the smiling face on it is not turning. The balloon itself is not rotating about its own axis. And then in this demonstration that Brian's about to play now, we will see a ball rotating about its own axis. It is that simple.
It is doing that.
That is the problem is, I hope I can say something about it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, God, go on, Johnny, because you're going to destroy the conversation unless you do. So go ahead.
I'm just giving a one point, then you can talk.
Hold on, John. Go ahead, Johnny.
John, just relax, John.
It was on screen, what Brian had on screen. That's exactly what you said.
I lost it because I have to move away from the computer for a sec.
I saw where the cursor was. It was like about 2 inches to the right.
Yeah, I can get it. Don't worry. I just need to show it again. I'm trying to show 3 things here. Couldn't even get to show the first one.
Well, you're not going to get to show it now because I'm going to shout at Duncan McLeod for a super chat. If we take away the moon's orbit, it would still rotate on its own axis. Okay, thank you for the super chat.
It's not rotating on its own.
Okay, I think Johnny can maybe speak now.
To be tidally locked, it cannot rotate about its own axis. It is that simple.
Yeah.
But does it have to be at a fixed point in order to I don't get why y'all are saying. I just don't get it. Because it's like you're looking at Brian's video. It's obviously not only moving around in a circle with you, but it's also fixed on one point. Because of that, it is rotating.
No, it's not. It's not rotating. It's orbiting the globe. It's not rotating on its own axis. Its own
You are
axis. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you now. It's going to happen now. Here. Watch.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Watch.
That's your incorrect understanding.
Watch. Right? Not rotating.
I thought the moderator was saying that Johnny can say one sentence.
Hang on, Johnny, please.
One sentence that you can keep on.
1 second, Johnny. My God. Right?
It's
1 second.
If you ignore the person holding it, you know that the eyes are looking.
There is another damn trick. Give me a second. Give me the second. Right? Watch now. Here is what he's saying. One rotation, approximately 28 days. Here we are, yellow and red, going to the other side. Watch it, and then watch when he has to show the demonstration. Where's the yellow and red going to the other side? It's not.
Wait, hold on. Is the yellow fixed on the center? Is the yellow fixed on the center?
Where is it? I was trying to answer. But if you keep talking, it's impossible.
I have been hit, Eli, trying to get this point across to John and God knows whoever else.
It's literally a video. It's not doing anything else other than what it's doing. I can see it. I'm not 5. Is there anything else you're going to add?
No,
I just want to simplify it.
Let me point this out. Because you're
I will just make it simple for you guys.
Johnny. Oh my God, Brian, John, and Johnny.
My God.
Well, I'm trying to take control, Brian. Right, Johnny, go ahead, because otherwise you're just going to... Go ahead.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. That's what we are talking about. What we have the reality that we see. What can we see? We can see the moon is going around us and is going in a circle following the sun. That is my reality of how I see it. That's self-evidence. Okay. Away
thank
from
you,
that,
Johnny.
I'm not finished. It's just there. I'm just there. And if the Earth, if the moon is moving around its own axis, then you will see the so-called dark side all the time, right? But it's not happening. How can anybody describe the moon is moving around its own axis?
In this video that's on, it shows.
And I will tell you why. Now I'm in the finish line. Because that you're seeing is the moon is not a solid object above your head. It is something else. If it were solid, it will fall down like everything else in there.
We're not debating
what
that.
Is it?
Okay, Johnny.
Nobody knows.
Nobody
really
Johnny,
knows.
thank you. I cleared the bloody airwaves for you. Now you're taking it into some tangent about its physicality. We already disclaimed. We are within the begging the question.
Thank you, I'm finished.
Johnny, I'm going to have to remove you if you can't control yourself. We are in the heliocentric paradigm. We are begging the question. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just working out what they claim within the heliocentric narrative. They claim a moon that turns about its own axis from what Brian's exposed on NASA's own website. It cannot do that The orbital motion is describing a rotation with respect to Earth's axis, not its own.
Correct. And this video that's getting ready to play is going to demonstrate how you're wrong. Pay attention to which way the moon is facing. It's not staying pointed towards the left.
I'm going to play it again. Here is what he's claiming the moon is doing once a month. Right? This is what NASA is claiming the moon is doing once a month. And he's going to go on to show it now in a moment when, right? The moon is not, at no point is the yellow and the red pointed the other way. At no point. That means it's going around the axis of the globe Earth. It's not going around its own axis. Its own axis is right there.
You don't see it spinning there, do you?
Yeah, I do.
It's
Yeah, I do.
It's
It
not,
is
It's
Brian.
not spinning.
Yeah,
Brian,
you're done, Brian.
it's
You're
wrong.
done. You
It's
just
I'm
demonstrated
not
you're
done.
wrong.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
done. I'm going to absolutely prove you all can be completely wrong. It's not spinning.
Sorry.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Brian.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
If it was spinning, Nathan, then the red and yellow would have to be out to the outside at some point.
No, man.
Yes. I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove
I've
it.
been down the road. That's why I'm trying to.
No, you have it all completely wrong. You couldn't be more wrong.
Didn't even have to go get what I was looking for because you got it right here. You can see it's not. Look, if it wasn't rotating, then the green would be fixed. It would be fixed to one location because it wouldn't be rotating. It'd just be moving around in a circle. But it's also
No.
turning.
If it's rotating about its own axis, then at some point the green and the blue must point towards the globe.
No.
Right.
No.
You're convoluting orbit. You're describing orbit and calling
I'm
that
not
rotation.
describing orbit.
Right. It's demonstrating the rotation of the moon on
mixing it up
screen
with the
and you're
first place,
denying
not
what's
Brian.
happening.
I'm just talking about the rotation on its own axis that's claimed to happen that's not happening. That's what
It's
Brian's talking
demonstrated in the video that you're denying its rotation. That's what's happening.
about. It's not demonstrated. This is watch. Watch the blue and yellow, right? That ends up right. I'll show you. Watch this. Watch.
Is this rotating right here before it? Right here.
One second. Now, see the way the blue and the red. Watch the yellow and the red and yellow and the blue and green. At what point is the yellow and red? Watch this. Watch. Now the yellow and red are where the blue and green were. Now
Yeah.
they're back to where it started. Hang on. Now it's back to now. Watch. Where is it ever in the direction? When is it ever turning around? It's not. It's always
Right
keeping
now in
the
your
same.
face.
You're doing it.
No.
So the yellow's pointing down. Now it's not. Now it's pointing right.
That,
Get up.
Now the yellow's pointing
that's
up.
not a rotation.
Yeah.
No, it's
Now the yellow's
rotating
pointing
upon
Brian,
its own
stop.
axis.
Everyone stop. Brian, listen to what
No,
he's telling
John takes it
Brian,
point,
please stop.
and he doesn't
Brian,
have a point.
please. Listen to what he's saying to you. Right? As you watch this ball, I'm not going to take the glory from him because I've only just had the penny drop with this diagram showing us. Right? Listen to how he describes what direction red is facing. Just play it again and let John talk you through it as it rotates. After this. Go ahead, John.
Right. We're going to the inertial frame of reference to describe this right now. Yellow is facing, or red is facing right. Press play again. It'll be facing up. Then it'll be facing to the left. And then it'll be facing down. That rotation is described with respect to those four colors, not that ball in the center.
It is rotating, Brian. About its own axis.
It's not rotating about its own axis, Nathan.
Yeah, it is. From this
If
frame,
it was
from this frame of
rotating about
reference.
its own axis, if it's rotating, hang on. You show me then, Nathan. Right, 1 second. Now, you show me when the green and the blue are pointed towards the globe.
When they're pointing
really?
to that's from the frame of reference. That's from the. Hold
No,
on, Brian.
show me when
Brian,
it's
I'm trying to
no,
answer you,
if
and
it's
you're just rumpusing
no.
the crap out of me.
No, I'm not, Nathan.
Well, you
I'm asking you a question. You're saying it's
Yeah, I'm
rotating
trying to
on its own
answer it,
axis.
and you're still rumpusing the same thing you asked it. I heard. You're trying to describe it from the rotating reference when you say when is it doing this No, I can only describe it not rotating about its own axis if I'm part of a rotating axis-based reference frame. That is to say, I must be non-inertial to describe the moon as non-inertial, as in not rotating. In reality, as observed from this, the inertial reference frame, it very much is rotating about its own axis.
No, it's not. Here it is rotating about its own axis. Here, in a moment, it won't be doing that.
Okay. Let's go back again. Go back again. Brian, just go back again.
I'll prove it to you.
Brian, I'm trying to. Brian, you're not cooperating.
Leave me speak for a moment, right? It has nothing to do with whether the globe is rotating or the globe is stationary. The point is that yellow and red is never pointed away from the globe, and the green and the blue are never pointed towards it. That's what it would have to do in 1 month. This is supposed to be 1 month, right? As it goes right around, it's supposed to rotate on its own axis. It's not rotating on its own axis. It's being swung around with the same face pointed towards it at all times. It doesn't matter whether the globe is rotating or stationary. The point is, it's not doing what they're saying it's doing.
You just hit us with the it can't work on a flat earth like that. Or when you're like, look at it. That's what it feels like.
Okay, if I may with Brian, if I may. Here we go, stop. Right, red pointing to the right. Now play the video. Red pointing up. Red pointing left. Red pointing down. Red pointing right. Red pointing up. Red pointing left. Red pointing down. Red pointing right. Red pointing up. Red pointing left. It's doing the same thing, Brian.
No.
How do you not see that rotation?
It's not doing the same thing. It is not doing the same thing. At no point is it rotating like this. At no point is it rotating. I'll prove it to you.
You don't understand.
At no point is it doing that on its own axis. It's not doing that at any point.
Rotation is always described with respect to its own axis, not something else's. So you can describe rotation right there from the axis of that circle. Because it's not in a fixed left, right, up, or down.
No, it's not rotating. If it's rotating on its own axis, John, then the blue and the red, or the red and the yellow, must at some point face outward. And the green and the blue must at some point face inward. That's a rotation on its own axis.
No. Listen. In order for, pause it real quick. At any point, doesn't matter. Okay. Now, let's suppose, okay, that's fine. You see how red and yellow is facing the earth?
Yes.
Imagine you could move it over with a mouse diagonally to the bottom left of the earth without changing the orientation of the wheel or whatever that is. That would be it not rotating. If it somehow was on the other side and then the blue and the green were facing the earth, that would mean that it itself wasn't rotating for that to happen.
That would mean that it is rotating. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're missing it. You're begging the question of their paradigm, and then you're not allowing their paradigm.
I'm not missing it. Watch the game.
Brian, every time someone disagrees with you, you start rumpusing the top of the disagreement with you.
Because of the way it's going about. John is also talking while I'm talking. Not just me. Not just Brian.
I think Brian is right. I was thinking about it. I think Brian is right. He's right because the moon cannot be solid like we. So you need to understand what the moon is. But it's absolutely not rotating. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. Watch this.
I'm on the Brian side. Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. Watch this. Right, 1 second. See the way this line here is pointing towards here, right? Watch this.
Pointing towards where? Wait, Brian. Stop. Do it again. Okay, take the line between green and blue, or whichever one.
Watch the red and yellow. Watch the red and yellow, and watch it. Just watch it a second. Watch it a second.
Can you describe before you play it what I should be looking for? Because I'm really trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm going to tell you when it happens. Watch the red and yellow, right?
Okay, I'm watching it now as it's rotating.
Now, the green and the yellow, the green and blue are in the position the red and yellow are in.
Yeah.
So it's rotated once a month on its axis.
Okay.
Right? That means it turned around.
Okay.
Right? That's a rotation on its own axis. Now,
yeah,
it does it a second time. That's a turning around.
Yes.
Now, when is the blue and green ever pointed towards the Earth in this diagram?
Your brain is making a switch. Like, because all I see is the ball rotated. I could give a crap about the Earth in the center right now. Like, I'm looking at it rotate, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know where because when you asked me before, look, it's doing the same thing. The red and yellow are now pointed diagonally up, like you showed in the video. Before that, you're like, okay, now it's coming around again. Now it's pointed down. That's what you just explained before you press play.
No, it's not.
That is exactly
what I showed was different.
No,
Right?
it wasn't.
This is different. This is different. This is it actually rotating on its own axis. What you're going to see in a minute is it rotating around the globe's axis. That's what it's doing here. It's not rotating on its own axis here. At no point is the yellow and red pointed away from the globe and the green and the blue pointed towards it. At no point.
Right.
It has to do that once.
Orbits.
I'm not convoluting orbits of rotation. So that the
Oh my God! Everything is described from the inertial frame. If you're a heliocentrist, this is how they show you everything, right? You're always
showing me what they're claiming here. That's the point.
Yes. God bless it.
On the screen right there, you keep we're looking at exactly what you're saying. You don't see, and that's what I don't get, because whenever the ball, because it's like whenever the ball gets introduced into this little thing, and the other color wheel thing is going around it, all of a sudden you can't see the rotation of the color wheel, and you switch it to, all right, now
exactly.
And then you switch it to watch the green and the blue not point towards the Earth or towards the ball. Like, yeah, we know, but that's not proving your point.
It is, because it means that it's not rotating on its own axis. That's the point. It's not rotating, because if it rotates on its own axis, then the green and the red and the blue, or the red and the yellow, must at some point be pointing in the direction that the green and the blue are, and they must be pointing in their direction. That's what a rotation on the axis is and would be.
You're trying to describe this from the non-inertial now.
I am trying to describe it from what it's been
but you're showing the inertial.
I'm not trying to describe anything, actually. I'm just...
God bless. You're not listening.
I'm not trying to I'm pointing. I'm not trying to describe. I'm literally showing you that what they're claiming within their own paradigm, they can't even show it because it's not even happening in their own paradigm.
As you demonstrate it.
Let's roll back.
Okay, everyone stop. I'm going to read out a super chat. Stop for a second. Just want to read out a super chat. Shout out to James Richard, who says, I missed the beginning. Is all this taking place in Narnia? Yes, it is, James.
No, it's not. That's the point.
We've already got the question.
John, if we don't fall back, like, there's nothing there's nothing left to really be said. Like, we saw it. Brian is saying it's not happening. There's nothing else. There's nothing. We're just going to keep arguing.
I'm getting out GeoGebra, and I'm going to show you. Right? If I could go back to...
So you're going to show us the demonstration you just gave us was wrong. The demonstration you just made was wrong.
Yeah, refracted. Why do you have this invincible spirit to argue? You already know that the answer to your question that you're asking Brian is going to inflame the situation. Right or wrong?
Wait, hold on. So it's not about him constantly telling me I don't know what I'm talking about for the last 30 minutes. As he demonstrates my point.
Argue. So if you,
I can't be upset about that now.
I didn't say that.
I'm upset. I'm really upset, Elijah. Thank you for pointing that out. I will calm down.
but we're both right. Well, at least you have me on your side in this. Like, so it's like we don't need to. At least
No,
you're
you're
not
right.
crazy. Have to be upset. I understand why Brian is upset. I've been here before
Who cares?
on the show.
Let's not discuss the feelings of the matter. All that matters is who's right and wrong in terms of whether or not it's rotating about its own axis. From the inertial frame of reference, it is absolutely rotating about its own axis. From the non-inertial frame of reference, it is not. It is that simple.
It's not rotating about its own axis at any point. At no
inertial,
point
yes,
is it rotating about its
just
own
watched
axis.
it.
At no point.
Yeah, just watched it.
If it was, right, I'll put it back on. Right, I'll put it back on.
From the inertial frame of reference, it is rotating about its own axis. Can't see your screen, Brian. Oh, if you stopped it, you can.
I'm trying to sort it out. I'm using a computer I don't normally use to do this.
I've kept the live show going for it because I think it's a worthy discussion. It is complicated. We can't go about saying you say it rotates about its own axis when it doesn't, and yet here we are watching it do it.
Here is it rotating around its own axis, right? Watch the yellow and the red, right? Watch it. It's the yellow and red are pointing right up at an angle, and the green and the blue are pointing down. Now it's the opposite, right? The yellow and the red are pointing in the direction that the green and the blue were pointing in, right? And the green and the blue are pointing in the direction the yellow and the red were pointing in.
Okay.
And they'll do it again, and then we'll watch now. Now, when is the green and the red, when is the yellow and the red ever pointing in the direction of the green and the blue, and the green and the blue ever pointing in the direction of the yellow and the red? Never. It's
We
going
just described it.
No,
completely
it's not. It's not. Even if I was standing in the center of the moon thing here, it's still not going around in a circle.
Yeah, rewind it again for me, Brian. I got some screenshots. I'm just gonna put them side by side because when you explained, look at the line between red and yellow, right? And you said it's up, and then you said now it's down. So I'm gonna screenshot. I'm gonna put the ones with the globe in the middle to show you that in both instances the line is pointed up and down. That's all. I don't know. I can't.
We're
do
not
anything.
talking about up and down, though. We're talking about inside and outside. The red and the green are always inside towards the center. The red and yellow are always inside towards the center, and the green and the blue are always outside away from the center.
Yes, that's correct. So towards the center, yeah, always non-inertial. Yeah, that is to say, for that to be the description, you are part of the frame of reference that is rotating to describe it in that way. Ergo, from a non-inertial frame of reference, it is not rotating. However, from an inertial frame of reference, now, blue points up, blue points left, blue points down, blue points right.
It never points in. It never points in.
I know that, but yeah. Regardless of whether or not it never points in, it's still rotating.
Not about its own axis, it's not. I'm going to prove it to you now, right? 1 second, leave it play here, right? Right, 1 second. See this black X through the circle, the color circle here, right? You have a black X. If we treat the black line that's coming through the yellow and the red, pointing towards the center point here, we just call this the center point, the globe the center point, right? Let's call that north, right? Magnetic north, right? Here is a compass. You have north, which is on the compass, which is at the point between yellow and red. We have south, the point between green and blue. And you have east and west, right, making a tangent to a circle of latitude. This is what I said at the very start, when I first started describing it to you. So that would mean for it to rotate on its axis, at some point, pointing what we have as north here must point south. But it doesn't. It just goes around the circle of latitude, always pointing towards north. At no point will that person be standing looking south? That's the point. So if the outside is south,
you keep wanting to tie it to the non-inertial reference frame in your description.
I'm not trying to tie it to anything. I'm trying to point out that
Brian, you're rumpusing the crap out of him. Brian, come on.
I don't need to hear. I'm not trying. You're trying to do this. You're trying. I am not doing any of that.
Okay, I'm going to read out some super chats, and then hopefully John can get some clear airwaves. Thank you to Iron26. The cross is literally the ball axis. It spins. Next, James Richard. Thank you very much, Iron26. James Richard also, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it seems as if the argument is irrelevant as to the shape of the Earth. Yeah, sometimes we go off on these tangents. Sorry, James. It's just the way it goes. Thank you for the super chat.
It's not irrelevant. That's sorry.
Oh, that's why you care so much, because you think that this is relevant and can somehow disprove their model.
It is 100% relevant, yes.
So I'm about to post right now on Master B what we're looking at. Damn, how did I mix this up?
You want me to unshare?
No, I'm just gonna post it in Master B so you can see that in both cases the rotation of the ball is still there with the cross on it that the gentleman just super chatted about.
I don't see any rotation in this when it's moving around this globe. There is a rotation right now, right? Right, 1 second. Let's just say right here, do you see where my mouse is? If that's north, right, and the other end is south, right, on a compass, and that's pointed towards the center. Right.
Right. You keep on wanting to change reference frames.
No, hang on. No, I'm not trying to change anything. My God, I'm trying to just point something out. It couldn't be any simpler. And you're on this reference frame. I'm not on anything. I'm trying to explain something. It should be easy.
Moon. You can't point at the moon and say that it's pointing towards the north. That doesn't make any sense, Brian.
It makes perfect sense because here
the moon's always pointing north. Is that really what you're wanting to claim?
Did I say that? Did I say that?
Yes, that was.
Okay, John. If I ask you, John, if I ask you, what is if the moon is apparent view? What is it?
No, I never said that.
What is apparent view?
I didn't say that at all. I'll say exactly what I said again. Now, right. If this is the center point, let's pretend this is north, right? And this black line here that's going through it is making a tangent to a circle of latitude. The line here that's going through that, the line that's pointing towards the globe, that is pointing towards north. The other end is pointing towards south, right? That means if I'm standing right here, I'm trying to treat it as a compass. Just listen to me. If this is a compass, if you just listen to me.
You just said the moon is always pointing north. That doesn't make sense.
You're not allowing me to say it. So
okay, we have to relax. Everybody have to relax.
Yeah, thanks. I don't need your killer commentary, Johnny. Shout out to James Richard. This cannot prove a globe model wrong because there isn't one. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah. Now, if we treat the globe as north, right, magnetic north, we treat this color wheel as a compass, then the yellow and red part here that's pointed towards it is north, right? The green and blue part at the edge is south, and the other line is east-west, making a tangent to a circle of latitude. Now, when I press play, that person is moving around that circle of latitude, but north is always pointed towards the center. At no point is the yellow and red pointed towards south, which would be where green and blue is. And at no point is green and blue pointed towards north. At no point.
Okay, Brian. I really have to ask you a question, Brian. Brian, can I ask you
a question? You're willing to say that the moon is pointing north. You have moved so far away.
Didn't say moon is pointing north. Try to give an analogy. Try to give an analogy, and now because you know that I've just pointed out where you're wrong. Now you're trying to strawman me. You've done this in the past. I've just shown you to be wrong.
Right.
You don't have to
with your own
That's
words.
what's going on here.
You really
Okay,
think I'm
stop.
strawmanning you with your
Right,
own
Eli
words?
is going to take up the mic. You two stop for a second. Right, Eli. So I've got your first diagram up on screen. Take us through what I'm looking at.
So basically, you're looking at the the color wheel both in the same orientation of up and down. And this is both in, with the earth and without the earth. And all we're trying to say is, in order for it to be up and down in both instances, it has to be it's rotating. Like
it can't be that at some point, Eli, then the green or the yellow and the red must be pointed out away from the center point. That's what it has to be. That's what a rotation on its axis is.
Yeah, and he's showing that. He's showing that on the live stream.
I can't see it. I can't see any of this. And he's not showing it.
Can I talk with Brian now? I really want to talk with Brian because I agree with Brian, and I will say we cannot see any rotation. There is no visualization of any rotation. And also I will ask Brian, what will happen if that we are seeing is our apparent view? Okay. And then you will never get any solid understanding what the moon is doing. Now, therefore, nobody knows what the moon is about, right, Brian? So, if it is apparent view, what does that mean?
Yeah, thanks, Johnny.
Johnny, that has nothing to do with the point.
No, I will. Brian will think about it. Then you will never see it rotating or something like
but you're talking about a completely separate point. You're derailing the thing.
Yeah, not really.
The intersection of the color is the cross. That cross right there is the question whether or not that itself is rotating. Never mind the ball. Is that rotating?
Yes. That question is that cross rotating as it goes around the outside of the globe?
You can bloody see it, Brian.
It's not rotating because if it was, the yellow and the red has to at some point be pointing outward, and the green and the blue must be pointed inward. That's what a rotation on an axis is.
Yeah, that's where that's where it's showing diagrammatically. They do.
No, what? No.
They don't.
What he's looking for, but what he Jedi. Look. When you this is what he's trapped himself in this. He's saying, in order for me to accept that you're right and I'm wrong, what I have to see is the he has to see it not rotating in order to say that's rotation. That ironically, that's what he's asking for.
Okay, well, while we digest that, shout out to James Richard. Nothing can continually spin on its own axis without a force causing it to. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, Brian is saying now we're not all looking at the same picture. If you take whichever picture with red and green at the top, what Brian is saying is unless red and green stays in that orientation, it's not rotating.
Red and green are opposite to each other on this bloody color wheel, so that's useless.
Yeah, it's yellow and red. For that to rotate on its own axis,
I messed that up.
Yeah, -5 for Eli.
For yellow and red to rotate on its own axis, then at some point, yellow and red must be pointed away from the globe, and the blue and the green must be pointed towards the globe. That's a rotation on its own axis.
That's what has to happen.
That's a rotation on its own axis with respect to a different axis. That would be you're describing your view of it from a non-inertial turning reference frame and its additional rotation on top of it on its own axis. But from the inertial frame of reference, you can easily show that it is rotating about its own axis as you watch it.
It's not.
Not from Earth.
It's not.
But from in there begging the question fallacy, if you watch it from space, it's rotating about its own axis, Brian.
We're watching it.
And
from
what was the
view of
point
space.
we gave? We gave them their paradigm at the very beginning. What we're doing is wrong.
No, it's not. I'm trying to point something out to you, and I don't see why you're not understanding it. It's so simple.
It's spin, and you're saying it's not spinning. That's where it's not working at. Brian is saying, he's saying it needs to not. So imagine you got like the little stop moving it, but the Ouija board thing, right? And you know how they don't rotate that? They just move it around. Like, he's saying that it would have to be like that, and then that would be rotation. Because he's saying the opposite right now. Because it is rotating, and he's saying it's not, because the blue and the green, if it's pointed at if the red and the yellow are pointed at the Earth, then in order for it to be showing rotation as if the blue and the green were pointed at the Earth. So that would mean that it would have to go around like in a Ouija board, the little thing, and stop moving it. You would have to move it around the Earth without actually rotating it. That would be non-rotation. But you're saying you would have to see that, and then that would be rotation.
If they're claiming that it is doing one full rotation each month, then it's not possible for yellow and red to continually point towards their globe.
Yeah, they're having the cake and eating it because they're describing how it appears tidally locked from a non-inertial frame of reference. Then they're describing it from the inertial frame and saying it rotates once a month. That's it.
Yes. Yes. That's a good description. Yes. And that is the correct description within their paradigm.
So if I'm in the moon, right, in the center of the moon, what am I seeing happen?
Nothing. Then you're part of the frame of reference that is tidally locked to the globe Earth. You're not going to notice anything.
And when am I seeing the rotation
would still be spinning though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the stars would be spinning around you, just to get clarity, but you're still part of the non-inertial frame of reference if you're on the moon. But carry on.
When am I seeing the rotation on its own axis?
When you step away from it. So bring up your diagram if you can, your video, Brian.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Well, it's not on screen for me, for some reason.
Hang on.
That Matthew learns.
Okay, so go to this bit. Okay, stop. So if you just ignore the center point, the globe Earth, and only pay attention to the wheel itself, you will now watch it rotate about its own axis as this video progresses, Brian, because we're watching it from space. So from this frame of reference, which is the inertial frame, it is rotating about its own axis. And you can watch it do it as you press play. It will now rotate.
Okay.
Yep.
No, it's not rotating about its own axis, Nathan.
It is.
It's not.
Yes,
it's not. At no point. Are
you putting your thumb in front of the globe? Saying that?
Hang on. At no point.
The globe, Brian, and then tell him it's not rotating. Just do it.
I'm watching the thing itself. I'm not looking at the globe.
In front of the globe where you can't see it. But
I can't respond to Nathan when you keep on talking to me the minute I try to respond to him.
Yeah, he got globe brain like we all get sometimes. He's not going to do it.
I can't do anything because you're not allowing me to respond to Nathan.
Well, do what Nathan just said. Ignore the Earth. Ignore the globe.
And you decided to come in telling me a load of nonsense when I tried to respond to what Nathan said to me.
Is your response taken into account ignoring the ball that's the Earth?
To respond to what Nathan said to me.
So why can't you answer the question?
Because I can't, because you need to come in talking. That's why I'm not responding to Nathan.
We're not 5. You can most absolutely answer me and Nathan.
Why am I answering you when I'm supposed to be answering Nathan?
Because this is what like kids do. But you could answer me and answer Nathan.
Go on then. You ask your question.
I just want to know if when you're looking at it and Nathan describes, don't think about the earth, are you putting your hand or your thumb in front of your face to the point that you can't see the earth, but you can actually see the color wheel? Are you doing that?
I am focusing on the color wheel only. Just like Nathan, I was trying to respond to Nathan. Now I'm going to press play. I'm only focusing on the color wheel. Okay? And according to it rotating once on its own axis, then the yellow and the red should at some point face outward. I'm going to press play, focusing only on the color wheel. What I'm seeing is it swinging. I'm not seeing it rotating on its own axis at any point.
It is outward. If the red line is outward, then you got the blue pointing outward toward it. Then you got the green pointed outward to it. Then now you got the yellow pointed outward to it. Now you got the red pointed out.
Eli, at no point is it rotating once on its own axis. It's not doing that.
That showed you.
I'm looking at it. I'm ignoring the center point. I'm looking at it, and it is not doing what you're saying.
It's literally doing what I'm saying.
It is literally rotating, Brian. Literally.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not, Nathan.
Yes, it is.
I'm looking at it, Nathan, and it's not rotating on its own axis.
I am. I'm looking
You're mixing up its orbit, what it's doing in its orbit, with its actual rotation. It is orbiting, giving the impression, and I'll go back again. It's giving the impression that it's doing that. It is
doing that. From this frame of reference.
It's not doing that.
So hold on, Brian.
It's not doing that.
Brian, please. Brian, you don't have to keep chanting it's not doing that through the top of me when I'm watching it do it. Yeah, I am watching it rotate.
You're not watching it do it. That's the point.
Okay, play the video with the earth in the middle again. I'm going to put...
1 second.
Stop. Green pointing up. Yeah? Can you see the green pointing up, Brian?
I can't see the green pointing up.
Right, now press play. Stop. Can you see that now yellow is pointing up?
I can.
Okay, keep playing. Stop. Can you see now that a different colour is now pointing up, Brian?
Yes, I can. Press play again.
Now it's blue pointing up.
That's right. Absolutely. I don't disagree with any of that.
Right, so it's rotating then.
It's rotating on its own axis.
That's
a product of its orbit.
That's its rotation about its own axis.
No,
if you watch it,
of its orbit.
Brian, you're just rumpusing me. Brian, no. From this frame of reference, no matter how you dice it, I am watching it change orientation, rotate. And when I say blue pointing up, green pointing up, yellow pointing up, red pointing up, that is because from this vantage point, it is rotating.
And the problem comes when you beg the question of within their paradigm. This will, their descriptions will work.
It's not rotating on its own axis. Sorry.
That's crazy.
Bloody hell, Brian.
That's crazy.
It's not rotating on its own axis.
It
what
is.
What looking at is a product. It's a product of its orbit, Nathan. It's not a rotation on its own axis. That is not a rotation on its own axis. It's a product of its orbit.
In a fixed. Let me ask you a question. Does it have to be in a fixed space in order for it to be rotating, or can it orbit and rotate at the same time?
That's what it is doing.
To rotate once on its own axis and orbit.
I'm getting. He's not even trying to respond to me right now at this point.
I just tried to explain. I just tried to respond to you. I just tried to give you exactly what you asked me for.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Right, can we knock this on the head? We'll have to come back to this. Right. It's been a very, very extended
I would like
live
to
show.
say one thing right quick.
Nobody's going to accuse me of not giving them their time to... Go ahead, John.
Well, see, the problem with the yo-yo is it's part of the non-inertial frame of reference. When you're doing the smiley face looking at you and spinning, right? It's part of the they don't claim the moon is part of the non-inertial reference frame. It's a celestial. So it is its own reference frame in their paradigm. It's not fair for us to give the description that is false within their paradigm and try to hold them to that false description.
Okay.
Nathan,
Go on.
not your year.
It's not my
Huey,
year.
That rotation.
Not my year. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Did you hear any of that, Kiwi? See any of it?
I've been in and out.
That didn't answer the
Will
question.
I share it for Kiwi?
Please.
I'm just glad we always agree on everything because we're like a cult over here. You know what I'm
It's a
saying?
little echo chamber we got going on here.
It's like
Shout out to
echo
James.
chamber. That's what I was just gonna say.
Shout out to James Richard. Draw a circle on the driveway. Take a tyre and move it around the circle without spinning the tyre. You will see the same thing. Right. As you roll the circle, as you roll the tyre. I think I know what you mean. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this, Kiwi? You should see a colour circle.
Oh, no, we're not going to re-go. I'm going to round out this live show, Brian. You got 30 seconds.
All right.
You got 30 seconds.
You want to be the chair for Kiwi.
You got 30
UNC
seconds.
John.
Everyone else, shut up. I'm giving Brian the time to round
John.
out. He's had the most vocal approach to this, so he can round out, or he can give his final point before we round out the live show. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I don't agree that what they're showing is a rotation on its own axis. I don't agree with that at all. That's my position.
We definitely got that.
Okay.
I initially agreed with you, but you're wrong. Anybody else?
We'll see.
We will. Well, we did see. We saw it rotate. Anyway, I'm going to round out. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you. Well, not another, because this is only the first one, isn't it? A huge, massive, enormous thank you to G+ and Discord for making today's live show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. If you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!